So I'm gonna go ahead and start it. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
It's top of the morning, man. Nothing new. Just ready to
Yeah.
get
So
it.
I'm gonna go ahead and I know last time we didn't do no intros or nothing. Like we just was kind of just jumping into this shit. I don't know how you want to do it, but you want to introduce yourself at all?
Uh, I mean, yeah, that's fine. Let me see. Is it coming through the headphones?
Yeah, it's coming
Coming
through.
through.
Or at least get them
Gotcha.
somewhere if they want to. I don't know if you want them to be able to, whoever watching it, to be able to tap in with you or whatever the case may be, but just something they can address you with.
Oh yeah, man, for sure, man. Well, just a quick little brief summary, man. Shit. Well, you already know, shit. I've been a Packers fan for over 15 years now.
Yeah.
When it comes to this sports shit, sports is like one of my first loves. You know, it's something that you've been into since you was a little kid. So, I just followed it, and regardless of how I may view the integrity of it, um, I would never deny the entertainment aspect of it. So, I just wanted to get that out there before we like really deep dived into it.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm always welcoming different opinions on stuff. I never think it's just one answer to this, because if it was, then we all be making millions
Yep.
off this shit from Vegas. So, yeah, that's just like the only brief way I could like summarize my viewpoint on this, sports as a whole. And like I said, I'm just glad that the community that we're trying to get the take off, I'm glad that others are actually opening their eyes to this, because like 3 years ago, man, it would have been hard to even
Shit.
get even an audience to even get behind this. So, but that's that's kind of like a brief summary of how describe everything so far.
Say less. Say less. I mean, you damn near said it perfect just in that short time. Because three years ago, I say having any types of conversations about any of these things before COVID, even me, I just was not. It wouldn't have cracked through the right way. Like you wouldn't have been
Right.
able to showcase it to me and been like, hey, this is what I think is happening, and I see it that way. I just would have been like, damn, he on some fringe kind of thinking type shit. But you
Yeah.
know, our relationship kind of developed from that point anyway, where it's like, okay, we
Right.
seeing it one way, and then as we seeing or as you seeing it, you letting me know what you see. I'm saying what
Yeah.
I'm seeing, and then it's like, damn, are we kind of seeing the same shit on, whatever the case may be. So it is what it
Right.
is. Like you said, it's entertainment, but at the same time, there is value in entertainment depending on the form and depending on like the levels of intake you have with it. It could
Right.
be healthy, it could be unhealthy, especially whatever you are choosing to do it with. Because I know the gambling shit getting crazy right now, so people are people winning, but a lot of people taking losses too. So depending on how heavy you in that, you know what I'm saying, it can go either way. But I will say before we jump off, rest in peace, Kevin Lacey. You heard about that already?
Yeah.
Or Kyron Lacey, my bad. Not
Yeah.
Kevin, my bad. My apologies. Kyron Lacey.
Yeah. Kyron Lacey. Man. When I woke up and I just some just told me just open Instagram, because
Mm-hmm.
it didn't pop up on my phone through any type of ESPN notification,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. So I just opened up Instagram and I just see 5 different posts, say cheese, different
Mm-hmm.
Instagram platforms, all saying that he unfortunately took his own life sometime last night. I can imagine this hit and run accident was weighing hard on him. He probably kind of felt kind of like in a Henry Ruggs situation,
Yep.
from the sense of um, everything he worked so hard for, it just went up in flames. So um, yeah, man, that right there was like real eye opening. It was really saddening, especially from a guy that was projected to be a first round
I
pick.
know, bro.
So yeah, it's a very down and sensitive situation that transpired all around.
Yeah.
So
Well, let me try to keep this moving along because like we said earlier, we working on limited time, so this episode shouldn't be too long. But hopefully
gotcha.
we get, what I'm saying, everything we need to get out. So just to kick everything off, I don't know how deep you've been following free agency, you know what I'm saying, this off season, but just going off of whatever you have seen, do you have any, favorites of free agency as far as teams go? You have anybody you think is, the winners or the losers, or who you surprised got picked up, didn't get picked up, just free agency and all?
I got you. As painful as this is to say, I will start off with the free agency winners. I got just off the top of my head, I was able to spot at least 3 winners. 2 of them are out of the North alone.
Yep.
So, starting with the Vikings, I mean, they I like the direction that they went in terms of not bending over backwards and paying Sam Darnold all this money after just a good 9 months. So they let him walk away without tying any long-term money to him.
Exactly.
You were able to get Aaron Jones on a 2-year extension to see whatever he have left in the tank. And they also was able to make some small changes as well. They had little splashes here and there. They also re-signed Byron Murphy, their number 1 corner. They actually got Jordan Madison, the running back from San Francisco.
Yep.
They got Jonathan Allen from the Commanders. They went and got Javon Hargrave from the 49ers. So, and they didn't break the bank on any of these signings, but there are a lot of depth signings, there are a lot of depth pieces, especially with their run defense. So, I like it a lot. I mean, the Bears, they brought in a lot of help in the trenches.
Yep.
A lot of O-line help that, like you said previously, that's moves that you really didn't see them making, at least that urgent. So, but that right there is going to pay big dividends by them bringing a lot of help in the trenches, because that's the main thing. That the last 2 to 3 years have been uncharacteristic when it comes to a Bears front office, because you know what I mean, you could have questions at the quarterback positions, skill position players, but the one thing that I knew Chicago has always been strong for is D-line and at least O-line to an extent. So it's just like, and I've always said that, like, regardless of the quarterback you put back there, you need to be strong in the trenches. Like, it's been years since I literally can say that Chicago had a weak run defense. So it's like things like that. They kind of patch that up. They making the necessary changes. I brought in an entire new coaching staff on both sides of the ball. So I can feel comfortable with Ben Johnson running the offensive side of the ball. Then you got a guy who turned around the Saints defense, which is Dennis Allen. Saints defense was trash for over 10 years, and he came there and gave them hope. So I do entrust him going to at least a team with a defensive identity. I can definitely see that working. And then the blend of, okay, the offense is supposed to put up points, and the defense is like supposed to kind of like negate the high scoring. Kind of like how y'all had the pairing of Matt Nagy and then Vic Fangio.
Mm-hmm.
See how that worked. So one side is designed to put up a lot of points. The other side, okay, let's make the opposing team play from behind with constant pressure on the defensive side of the ball. So that right there should be a big turnaround. So I think the Vikings and the Bears, they kind of had great off seasons for themselves. The third team that I would say that I was most impressed with as a winner would be Houston. Not Houston. I'm sorry. Washington.
Yeah, you got.
I would say
pick.
Washington.
That was my pick right there.
So Washington, them swapping out De'Ami Brown for Deebo Samuel. You put them in an offense like Kingsbury, he could kind of like schematically open up things and cater the offense towards his playmakers instead of making them go out there and play a specific scheme. I think Kingsbury is actually going to unlock the most potential for his offense, because who's to say that you send Jaden Daniels to, I mean, who was to say if you send this guy to Tennessee, he even has the breakout that he has. So, I think, and then they also signed, Dre Greenlaw, they signed Hufanga I think they signed Kent. No, they didn't sign those guys, but that's who I think is the biggest losers. I think San Francisco is the biggest losers of this offseason. They lost 6 starters. So, and they not
field too, yeah.
All over the field. In the trenches, you lost Debo, you lost a starting left guard, you lost Hargrave, Greenlaw, Ward, and Hufanga. That's 4 starters just on defense. So I believe they're gonna take a step back, and not to over jump the conversation, but it's not gonna be too pretty either giving Brock Purdy $50+ million.
Shit, so, man. I'm just gonna kind of speed through this one a little bit, just because you really said my two winners are gonna be the Bears and Washington. I think Washington even getting vets like Ertz and Bobby Wagner to kind of solidify that. Teams start making that decision. Usually they try to do it. If they don't do it in the offseason, they do it kind of right after that trade deadline, where they we're gonna solidify whatever position we got to solidify, but try to bring guys in that have been in big circumstances before. And I think that's exactly what they're doing with the Zach Ertz help for Jaden. I think also having somebody like Bobby Wagner just in your locker room. I mean, dudes respect him, the guys respect him. It's definitely one of those decisions where it's like we think we just a little bit away from where we was at last year. Like this, whatever we building on now should get us to the Super Bowl this year. I think that's what they're aiming for. So I thought that was a strong showcase, even though it wasn't too many flashy signings. I know they got another running back, but they kind of strengthening up that this new Washington team. They got some old faces coming in, but that's just to, see if they can make this little 1-2 year window before they got to give Jaden some money. But I think that was great for them to do that. I liked. I want to go into Chicago, but I think there was somebody else that I had. I can't remember exactly. It wasn't a North team. It wasn't an NFC team. I think it was somebody in the AFC, but it ain't coming to me right now. Chicago, though, I mean, this is the first offseason where I feel like we tried to damn near do everything in 3 months. That's what it felt like. Like from the coaching changes to bringing in actual offensive linemen with proven track records. We tried to get our draft picks to kind of do a lot for us since the Maggie time. And it's crazy you brought up the Maggie era, because that's exactly what it feels like, where we not about to draft Trubisky, but it's almost like the opposite thing that should have happened, where Nagy should have been able to get his guy and work with his talent moving through. It seemed like Ben really wanted Caleb, and I think that was a selling point for him to come to Chicago just in general, if he was going to work with that quarterback. I think he realized, I got a guy, he only got a year of disaster that I got to pull off of him. Whereas Trubisky, he was sitting in that. I mean, outside of that year, we went 13-3, I think, or 13. Yeah, it was 13-3. Trubisky had a lot of unrefined, I'm not even gonna say talent, but just level of play that we could have built on, but we just did not have the personnel there for him. Same thing with Justin. I mean, I was high on Justin, but I felt like we just throw quarterbacks in situations in Chicago, so it is what it is. And then I think our running back room definitely made shit a little obvious for us this year, because we brought in Swift and thinking that it was going to be a little bit of you going to create a lot of separation on your own. If we need to dump off, whatever the case may be, you might be able to take it 20-30 yards, but with no trenches, like no trench play at all offensive line wise, it just didn't go nowhere. So I think we knew we had to plug gaps. I just was not ready for us to. I didn't think Chicago was ready to not be Chicago. So I think the city is motivating it, like I was telling you before privately, but the city literally is trying to implement some type of legislation in their laws where they don't pay for any funding for any of the professional teams that aren't going above 500. So, I mean, I thought it was a crazy headline to see when I first saw it. I looked into it, it was real. And I think this is one of those things where it's like, it's damn near playing hand in hand, where you seeing fans are we getting tired of the mediocrity coming out of Chicago. I mean, we losing games to damn near everybody in the division, but then we not even, the last couple of years, we was kind of getting content with just playing y'all fairly. Not even trying to win a game, just like, can we hang in with Green Bay? So I think that was definitely much needed help. I will say losers, I got Atlanta being my worst loser. I think Atlanta not getting aggressive and letting Grady Jarrett go was like, damn, man. I mean, we talking about trenches right now. You can't let guys like that just leave a locker room. I don't think coaches or management really think about the difference it makes when you got a feared guy that's respected amongst the league on your team, on your, on your side of the ball where you need help. Atlanta always need defensive help. And in my opinion, they draft okay. So I don't see them as a team that's able to kind of make the ship not sink through the draft. I think they would have to go another year, maybe 2 years, figuring out what their team identity looks like. I mean, they got so many different question marks around the board. I myself would have been trying to plug and keep the guys that I know are difference makers and let everybody else just kind of move in and out the office as they got to. But whatever decisions they was making, I think that they are looking kind of at some long-term gains. And I think Grady was just getting to that point where it's like, we ain't winning with you. I don't know what else to say. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we can get some value for you somewhere else. But I take Atlanta as my worst my biggest loser out of free agency.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable. And I forgot all about the Grady Jarrett departure that they had. Honestly, if I had to give an opinion on that, I think they were at the point where they wanted to. The only justification that I have over them letting him walk was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's the only player that was probably still on that roster from that Super Bowl run that they had. So I don't know, because he was drafted in 2015. So they literally went to Super Bowl his second year. So maybe they were just kind of ripping the Band-Aid off, like, let's move that old culture out the door. Because that's one thing that I did say about Atlanta. With them sticking on to Matt Ryan and a lot of those players, it's hard to reset the locker room after a catastrophic loss that they had in that Super Bowl, man. So it's just, you're not just going to be able to wash that away. And I feel like they kept way too many players in that locker room, and they brought in some good players like AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates, David Onyemata. You seen what's his name? Mooney, he had a good year over there as wide receiver too. London, I still didn't see him break out as that real number one option.
Kyle's still a question mark.
Kyle Pitts is a little question mark. So that's one thing about Atlanta. Even when they were bad right before they got Dan Quinn, we always looked at them and said they have offensive talent. I feel like that's one thing that they do. They at least going to put players on the offense side of the ball. On the defense, kind of hit and miss. It's kind of scheme dependent, so you don't really know what you're getting. So that's like the main takeaway that I have with Atlanta. But the reason why I kind of give them room for error is because they are in a porous division. I mean, Carolina is not really going to make them go all in or push the buttons on a lot of immediate moves. The Saints, they just announced Derek Carr. His season is already threatened as it is with a shoulder injury. And Tampa Bay, I mean, Baker, he going to get you about 9-10 wins, but it's going to stop after the wild card at most. So the South, I don't think they're really forcing Atlanta to kind of shake things up. But what I would say is that I feel like Carolina is a few more pieces behind Atlanta. So just from the sense of young developmental quarterbacks, if Michael Penix shows anything that's worth being a franchise quarterback, then that division is going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust Carolina's front office to put anything around Bryce Young. Baker Mayfield, he's eventually going to be on his last contract. And the Saints, I mean, they probably just tanking for Archie, man, at this point. So
shit. The Saints and the Archie thing, that might have to be a topic on its own, because I seen something and I'll get into that later. I want to derail the convo, but I 100% agree. I'm a keep things moving, because I would just be amening you with everything you saying. So I'm gonna get into the early predictions, and this is just us kind of just thinking about what we see, what we know, just in previous years, how these things kind of go. What do you have as right now your coach of the year And if you can give me, it might be too much to do both assistants. I was gonna do offense and defense coordinators, but if you can give me an offensive coordinator of the year and then an MVP and then a comeback player of the year, so we can do one by one. We can go back and forth. Let's just start off with coach of the year. Who do you have as your lead favorite right now before the draft? Whatever the case may be, that would be your pick for coach of the year.
Honestly, man, looking at it, I don't see anyone turning a team around this offseason more than I think it'll obviously be Ben Johnson because I feel like with every head coach in the league now, that I feel like if I can just if I just can envision 14 playoff teams, 17 each conference. The Chiefs, let's stop it. Andy is not getting. We've seen this man go 15-1, etc. Still not getting no coach of the year. Andy is not getting nothing. I just don't. The only coach that if he gets that team to like 10 wins, get them to the playoffs, sign still deliver, he's going to win coach of the year. So I think he wins coach of the year.
You think if we don't make it to the conference champ, he still get coach of the year?
I feel like if he can get y'all to 10 wins and he can get y'all like a 6 seed, or because especially even though it's regular season dependent, but you kind of see they kind of like they're kind of self biased when it comes to the playoffs as well. Because let's say if he goes out there, he wins a game in a wild card, I think that's going to add to the voting part of him winning coach of the year. Even though they say it's only regular season that matters, I think they don't give out the awards to like right before the championship game or something like. So, I definitely see that, man. Because I don't think y'all won a playoff game since 2010.
Yeah.
So if he can get y'all a playoff win this year, I'm not even saying that's needed. If he can at least get y'all in the playoffs, and it's at least as long as it's not 7 seed and y'all barely making it, I feel like he will be in contention. But I can't think of two other candidates that I feel like will have a stronger case than him. It have to be some crazy shit like Seattle. They new head coach Mike McDonald leading them to 12 wins or some shit. It have to be some shit that we don't see at all. Or the Carolina Panthers somehow getting 11 wins or some shit. Like, but in terms of Baltimore, Lions, Packers, Chiefs, like teams like that, I just don't see any of those coaches because I think we already know what they are. I think the Bears is kind of like a new face, and they already been pushing him as like this young Sean Payton, this young offensive-minded coach that's going to change around the culture. So I think they're already pushing that. So I think that's sign still delivered, man. I don't think no other coach is going to win coach of the year. I really can't see it.
I was going to say Ben Johnson too originally, but I just put some more thought into it. You know, I'm a Bears fan, so I'm trying not to be as biased about these things. So I kind of was looking at it from the perspective of Bengals have a bounce back year. Joe Burrow light up the board. Let's say Bengals finish first in the AFC or second in the AFC conference, first in a division. I think Zach Taylor get coach of the year. I think he get coach of the year for bringing back the Jamar Chase. They re-signed T. Higgins. That little pocket of success, if they can keep them three eating this season, I think they give him coach of the year and take the MVP away from Joe Burrow. I think it'll be something like that. I think it'll be a trade-off of some sort where Bengals is lighting it up, but everybody not bringing home hardware. But they give it to Zach Taylor on some, you had a phenomenal season. Regardless of what happens these last 2 weeks or, championship week, Super Bowl week, we'll give it to you, pat on the back. We appreciate what you did. I think that's something that can happen. I could see you definitely not going to agree with this, but long shot, I'm going to be real with you, bro. I feel like Sean Payton could get it. I feel like Sean Payton
Yes,
get coach of the year.
Sean Payton is in my. I put him like in that top 6 because
Mm-hmm.
the thing is with Sean Payton is I feel like it would have to be his record would have to show for it
Oh yeah.
because I don't feel like Sean could get it with a 9-8 record. If that makes sense. But if we are going into like a hypothetical situation, a wild card that I would look out for, Jim Harbaugh. What if
Mm,
he kind of like could do something with that Chargers team? What if that
mm.
Chargers team sneak around and go 11-6,
And
12 and
they
5?
due for that. It's time.
Right,
It's due for
right.
that. Yeah.
So I could definitely see that. Um, Another wild card, another sneaky one is probably Mike Vrabel with the Patriots because
Mm.
they was sitting on like 4 or 5 wins. So what if Vrabel could get them dudes to like 9, 10 wins and we could see a little more juice pulled out of Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
I know they when they got Stephon Diggs. So um and if I'm looking at coach of the year, the odds to open the season, Ben is number 1 and Vrabel is actually number 2.
Vrabel's
So
number 2.
even
Damn, I didn't know that.
yeah, even Vegas is kind of like expecting a lot from Vrabel.
I just don't see
And
Vrabel as the guy to turn a team around though first year. I just don't think. Not saying he can't,
yeah,
but I know he a culture guy, so it take time to kind of build that culture.
I
Wherever,
got you.
however
Yeah.
he want it. But I mean, he is in New England, so how much of a rebuild of culture do he got to do? But I just don't know. It depends too. If New England land Travis, if they get Travis
Yeah,
this year, and then
that's
you know what I'm saying, I could see that.
yeah,
It's like it go hand in hand, just like that. Yeah.
yeah. That's the
Um.
main thing. Because they didn't really spend a lot in free agency, so
Mm-hmm.
they they gonna have to strike hot on this draft. Like really get some skill position players in.
Definitely. Who you got for office coordinator year?
OC. I don't even think he won it last year, but if we doing that, safe bet is probably Kingsbury.
Mm.
That's probably what I can see. Because I'm not even sure who actually won
I
offensive
think
coach of the
I
year.
think this was it not whoever who was the OC? Was it not Ben? Didn't Ben win?
That would make the
I
most
thought
sense.
Ben
Yeah.
won. I thought his whole staff got awarded. That's what I thought.
Okay. Okay.
Let me look it up real quick. Hold on.
So yeah, he won it.
He won it. Okay, bet.
Yeah, he won it. Okay, so yeah, that'll probably make the most sense if Kingsbury could probably win it. Um, let me just see what the odds looking like.
Or if I could see Miami's guy, especially if they can pull together something this season with Tua, and they love to Miami in that situation where they really don't. I don't even think Miami care about wins and losses as much as they care about just being electric and building that kind of. I don't want to say new brand, but it almost seems like they're trying to usher in their side of, we play dynamic football, we light it up. We don't have a great defense, but we have a defense that can plug the gap, maybe win us some games. At the same time, the coaching staff is also screaming. There is some imperfections there because that Tua situation is a little weird. There's the Tyreek Hill
Hmm.
situations up in the air. It's a lot of questionables there, but I can see their coordinator making it out with some type of hardware if they finish second, at least second in that division. I think if they came in second, it was a close second in Buffalo, they could go ahead and
Hmm.
I could see something like that happening. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, Dolphins because of the offensive explosion,
Mm-hmm.
they're definitely like a little wild card picking, a little toss up as well. What it is with Miami, man, is Tua has to show you he can play more than 13 games a season. That's the main thing because when he goes down, you put in Skylar Thompson. I mean, it was games where Tyreek was only getting 17 yards. So, and I don't think that the defense is just all of a sudden just know how to guard Tyreek at this
Mm-hmm.
point. So, um, but who knows, man? Mike McDaniels may be on the chopping block soon.
Ah, shit.
They may blow all that up, man. Tyreek, Tua,
You think they
head
let him
coach.
go if let's say he 7-win season, you think he walking?
Coach or Tua?
To coach. Shit, both. They both got to go. If coach go, Tua go. I
The
don't
thing
see
is
them
with
letting
Tua,
Tua go without Mike going. You think?
the thing is with Tua is, and this, and I wanted to say this while we was on the Bengals. I do not think Zach Taylor's job is safe in Cincinnati.
Mm.
I think with the Burrow and the offensive explosion that they have, they are you're going to need a scapegoat eventually because I don't see the Bengals doing anything next year. I think their defense is just not good enough, and it's either one or two things. Either we gonna look at Burrow as the new Drew Brees and Sean Payton comparison in terms of they're going to put up 40 TDs, sometimes go 9-8, miss out on the playoffs because your defense is so garbage. Maybe that's just maybe Burrow really is the Brees of this era in terms of putting up historic numbers year in and year out. I mean, how many times you breathe through 5,000 yards and miss the playoffs?
Yeah, literally.
So that's the only way I can see Zach Taylor staying is if they kind of like build it as that new Peyton and Breeze connection in terms of the high-powered offense with the number one quarterback and the offensive-minded coach. But if they feel like Zach Taylor just ain't doing it no more, I feel like they gonna chip him off the block. That's just my opinion on it.
You actually make a great point because I mean, since that Super Bowl run, you kind of looking at Cincinnati like you should fear them, but they gonna shoot themselves in the foot somewhere along the lines where it's gonna be like, all right, either injuries or Joe ain't, delivering wherever, whatever the case may be, something gonna come up where it's like, damn, I can't get you over the hump.
Look at it like this.
Yeah.
Look at it like this. All right. You got one guy and one head coach, Josh Allen and Sean McDermott. They're consistently losing to the same team every single year, but they're always getting back there. But on the flip side, you got Burrow and Zach Taylor, who can't consistently get to the dance.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing the playoffs. Like I saw stats, and I didn't even put this together. The only years, because Burrow came to the league in 2020, that was his first year. So he only been in the league for 5 years.
Yep.
He only made the playoffs 2 of those years out of 5.
I know.
And those 2 years, the dude in his division, Lamar Jackson, got hurt both of those seasons. So we looking at it saying that the only year that Burrow actually got to the playoffs and went on a run was seasons in which Lamar was down and hurt. We got to think about that.
Yeah.
So I have to see them. I have to see them get to the playoffs and do something when Lamar is actually healthy. Because as far as I'm concerned, we know what Lamar gonna do. Regardless of what he do in the playoffs, Lamar is getting you 11 plus wins every single season.
Yep.
He's that good of a player. Like Lamar is getting you 11 wins. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Team in his division, the Bengals, they got to deal with it. So, and we know Mike Tomlin. I mean, they've been keeping his streak alive for like the last 17 years of winning at least 9 games.
And that's where I think I'm gonna be real with you, bro. I feel like Mike damn near get bounced before anybody. And I know that's it's out there, but my take on it is I don't see Cincinnati slumping down this season with the Steelers and the Browns both on the downwards pivot. Like I just don't see I could see them battling it out for first with Baltimore. I could see them splitting the game or the series. I could see that happening. I could see them finishing third in the AFC. Maybe Baltimore's at 1 or 2 and they got to travel down divisional rounds, something like that. I could see that happening. Problem is I don't see Mike putting together a season this year. I'm almost thinking, bro, I'm really putting this together in my mind that Mike is really waiting on the next transition because I don't think he has enough flexibility as a head coach, a tenured head coach with a track record that he has in Pittsburgh. I think we see it as Mike is happy and comfortable and they kind of letting him kind of make decisions here and there. But I think even what we just saw these last 2 years with that quarterback room, and if we stretch it back, go back to when we talking about Mason Rudolph is your starting quarterback half the season because what's the name went down. So you got to start thinking like in your mind, just as a football fan, you think Mike is making these decisions as far as the instability with the most important position on his team. I feel like that's the Rooneys, the Steelers organization as a whole, keeping their structure in place and telling Mike to work with it. And I think Mike does have a short list of what he can say. I think him bringing in Justin was his short list. I think he did like Justin. I think he thought if Chicago's abusing him, if I can show him something real quick, maybe I get a spark out of him, and then I can have a reason to keep him going with Russ. But then with that situation where you have Russ on a roster too, you making them both uncomfortable realistically. And then you see what happens at this point in the time where it's, okay, so you're going to reach in the draft, or you're going to go ahead and grab A-Rod, reach in the draft, let him develop for a year. It's just, to me, it's screaming dysfunction from the inside. And the only reason we're not screaming it for Pittsburgh is because he ain't had a losing season, like you just said. That record alone is keeping a lot of conversations mute. But I don't think a team has feared Pittsburgh since Ben retired. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's for sure. They don't have that same aura around the brand and the franchise like they once could, or that they once did. But what I would ask you is that, based on what we know about Mike Tomlin now, and I for one do believe it's a difference between the two. Do you believe that he's a great leader or he's a great coach? Because I do feel like there is a difference, because if you look at Mike when he came in 2007, and I've always said this, and I try not to use it as a knock against him, but he inherited a great roster, because they literally won 2 years before he got there. They won with Bill Cowher when they played Seattle in 2005. He then comes in 2007, and they obviously went in 2008. But when he got there, Big Ben had already had a Super Bowl in his second year. You had already had Super Bowl MVP Hines Ward. You had Santonio Holmes, Mike Wallace, and Antoine Randall. People don't even remember Heath Miller, Rashad Mendenhall. Yeah. On defense, you had James Harrison, Ike Taylor, Ryan Clark, Palomalu. It's like, then it's like, man, once that roster started getting old, mind you, from 2010, because that's when they lost that Super Bowl to Green Bay, to 2015, who did we really see them develop, at least offensively?
I'm gonna say two players saved Mike during that time frame, that 2010, 2015. That's Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Them two guys, even when he had the three of them really at that tandem where it was almost like, damn, it don't matter what you do, they're going to find somebody in the end zone. That situation right there, I think, is what Mike Tomlin is when he works best, is when you give him, some coaches waste talent. And I feel like that has to be said, because I'm a Bears fan. I've seen talent get wasted year in and year out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you might have a DJ Moore on the outside, but DJ Moore as a player, he could be a championship caliber wide receiver, meaning like you put him on. I mean, if the Chiefs had DJ Moore, this would be a whole different conversation, whatever the situation would be. But it's one of those things where, do I think Mike is bringing that out of them, or is Mike, I think Mike is fostering a healthy relationship between professionals and the front office. And I think in the NFL, you need a coach that can get players to fall in line. And if you can't get your team to fall in line, if you're a Gruden type of guy where it's like, I'm kind of going to rule the way I want to rule, but I don't have the rapport with the guys in the locker room to where they respect that. They don't respect exactly how my culture change has to happen. I feel like from a business perspective, Mike Tomlin is the best coach you can have, because he's not going to let nothing leak past your locker room. If it does, he's fully on board with you getting rid of that problem. He's fully on board with it. He ain't fighting you, ain't blocking you. He's going to let you take care of whatever cancer you find in that locker room. He'll let you get rid of him. That's why AB had to go. That's why Le'Veon had to go. And a lot of these situations is him trying to not make an individual player bigger than the team. But I'm not going to lie, you got to look at the Steelers, who they bringing in as far as characteristics off the field. They got a lot of, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of projects that's been coming in and out of Pittsburgh, especially with, you remember the Juju Smith-Schuster shit. He was popping off that first year. They riled him down in that locker room because his brand was becoming bigger than Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Not because he wasn't performing, but just because you can't have that situation where a player is kind of demanding more media attention than your team is. And I think every time the Steelers have had a situation where they needed to make a real decision on offense, as far as weapons, Mike has done something. And you tell me, it might not be development, but I do feel like Mike know how to put a squad together. And I think he almost on that, I ain't gonna say bullet check, but he at that level where it's like, you kind of can give him some random players. He's still going to give you 9-10 wins. You know what I'm saying? And that's a lot for a coach who, in my opinion, could take his time. I could see Mike at the later end of his career having a whole Andy Reid arc where he leave his former team, maybe transfer conferences. Let's say he get a job. Let's say he became the Minnesota Vikings head coach one day. I could see Mike literally changing that, whatever team he end up next, around the same way we're thinking he inherited from Pittsburgh. I think Mike, in my opinion, to answer your question, just wrap it up, I'm going to say Mike is a great coach. I'm going to say I think he's a better coach than he is anything else. I think he know how to develop players, and I think he know how to keep coach responsibilities. And I think that's very useful in the NFL. And underrated, in my opinion, for characteristics of a coach.
Gotcha. I mean, that's definitely believable to kind of see him having that Andy Reid kind of trajectory. I mean, and it'll kind of make sense because, I mean, one thing we can agree on is we won't be surprised or the backing if Tomlin kind of have some newfound success, because at least over the last 15 years we have seen he is paying his debt.
Oh yeah, yeah. For sure.
So that's the main reason why. Same thing with Andy Reid. I mean, he took the people to 5. He took the Eagles to 5 NFC Championship games. Had a Super Bowl appearance against the Patriots. Even in KC, he was getting Alex Smith to the damn playoffs for about a good 4 years before he finally got his turn. So even Andy had to kind of like eat crow for about a good 16 years before he finally had his moment.
Let me ask you this. With your question though, what you think about Sirianni? That same question, but we putting that on somebody like Sirianni. How you see that? You know what I'm saying? Where you see the dynamic? I'm talking about almost like you getting a guy are you saying he developing that talent, or is he putting that in position to where it's like, okay, I'm letting y'all ball how y'all want to ball?
Nah, Sirianni. When I bring it to it like this, we gonna know this shit is not. It's not coincidental. He is. Me and you know in football, we both know he can't. We wouldn't entrust him to. If we was on that team and we had to choose, I think we would be like, man, Mike is going to motivate me 10 times more than what Sirianni can motivate me. But I think they are trying to build Sirianni as kind of like a prototype of Mike Tomlin from the perspective of he's not X's and O's. He's more of his personality and what he's going to instill into his players. And what are the odds that they trying to make both of these coaches identical? One is in Philly, another one is in Pittsburgh. Both of those are in Pennsylvania. It's kind of like how they kind of play in the same game with Jaden Daniels and Lamar, 2 black mobile quarterbacks with the same play style. One is playing in Washington, one is playing in Baltimore. Both of them places in Maryland. You know what I mean? Like they kind of running the same damn story from 2 different sides. That's what I see with Pittsburgh and Philly.
Yep.
Because I don't see the thing is the Eagles, man. We know who behind that shit. That's Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
The shit that man is doing behind the scenes, pulling all trees, getting this and that. Like, come on, man.
But see, to your point, and I threw that out there just to highlight, like, it's levels to the coaching, because you can even look at Cliff. I mean, when Kyler first landed in Arizona, you couldn't tell fans that they wouldn't be back in the playoffs. And that situation really come down to, okay, we figured out your schematic. You know what I'm saying? We already know Kyler is a little quarterback. We get him out that pocket, make him get mobile, but we limit what he can really see on his side of the field. We got D Hop down this way. You're gonna have to keep throwing miracle passes because you can't see him. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's like, I think coaching is overlooked in all sports, but in the NFL specifically, one coach, in my opinion, is almost like it's really what you gambling. Because you can think of many coaches that are basically weighing the decisions of success for their team based on how well they scheme their team versus their conference opponents, their divisional opponents, whatever the case may be. That's what I think LaFleur does well. I look at y'all's coaches like, it don't matter what I see out of Jordan Love, I don't think LaFleur is putting him in a situation where he can't come out of it. That's a big deal because I think as a quarterback, and just as players, you go through times where you might not even believe in your abilities to do something. If your coach is not bailing you out with the play calling, with the schematics, with the, okay, you've been struggling this whole first half. Let's get him back comfortable. Let's get him back in his rhythm. Let's get him back in his pocket. I mean, trust me, I done seen quarterbacks, whether it's in Chicago or whether you're looking at somebody like Anthony Richardson, the times he has been healthy, where it's like you got a guy with a lot of upside that you just do not know how to not even build around. You not really understanding he not comfortable right now. He's so uncomfortable. He making decisions because he don't feel like he playing football no more. He feel like he in his brain too much. A lot of coaches will keep you outside of the fundamentals. And I feel like Mike Tomlin is a great example of somebody that he will make sure before you step foot on that field, you got the fundamentals down. That way you just playing ball with the schematics. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of coaches overlook the simplicities of that.
Yeah, that's 1000% correct right there. What I did want to ask you is to keep up with the comparison between the Eagles and the Steelers.
Yeah.
And I thought about it in a moment. Like I said, they won a championship with Bill Cowher.
Yep.
Then like 4 years later, they won another one.
Yep.
With Tomlin.
Yep.
If you look at the Eagles, didn't they win one with Doug Peterson? And then like they were on pace to win another one in like 2022 against the Eagles.
Yep.
But fell short by like 2 points or some shit like that. So they're literally running like a similar storyline with the Eagles that they were doing with Pittsburgh, because that you don't see that. You don't see a team win a Super Bowl and 4 years later you fucking winning it, just getting back with a new head coach with no experience at that, because even Tomlin didn't have no experience before he got to Pittsburgh. I don't even know where the hell Nick Sirianni even came from. But he didn't have no experience either. But I think that's the only way we are going to reset the money in the NFL in terms of keeping everything under control, because I don't feel like the money is going to go downwards. I don't think we're going to have a cap hit of giving quarterbacks $55 million to all of a sudden going back to 40. I don't see it going backwards like that. What I would see is teams will look at it and say, and let's take away the Patriots and the Chiefs. Those two teams and their runs are anomalies in this. But if we look at the other teams that at least get in there, the only teams that we see get into a Super Bowl outside of the Chiefs and the Patriots is teams that have quarterbacks on rookie contracts. So the Bengals went there 1 year. The Eagles, they got there 1 year with the rookie Carson Wentz contract with Nick Foles.
Yep.
We seen Shanahan get there with mid quarterbacks like Garoppolo and Purdy. We seen McVay get there twice. I mean, he got there once with Goff.
Yep.
Got back there with Stafford. But the only way that I could kind of see the NFL taking a new turn is if we start to value coaches more. Because what you see from I don't think that every coach will get to the Super Bowl with Garoppolo as their quarterback. I don't feel that way. I don't feel like every coach can get in the Super Bowl with Purdy as their quarterback. So I think we have to start valuing that more and say, okay, what is more profitable? Okay, having a competitive roster and having the right coach in place that can will a team to the Super Bowl, and a coach being the reason, or you sitting there paying a quarterback $55 million and he gotta sit there and stronghold the team by himself.
Yeah.
So we gotta choose one. Which is more valuable? An all around coach that's gonna will the entire roster, or just having the one superstar quarterback playing the most important position. We gotta choose one. But the one thing that we have seen is that it don't matter if it's Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, etc. Once you start to pay them top of the line money,
Over with.
they can't carry the entire team.
Mm.
But we just been playing this game for like the last 15 years, like giving a quarterback 40% of the damn salary cap is smart when it's not. So that's the and Lamar Jackson. I mean, it don't matter who we look at. Once you start paying these dudes 40, 50 million plus, man, you're not getting to a Super Bowl.
I mean, that's a good ass question, to be real with you, or a good ass topic. I think it works hand in hand. I feel like the cap space situation is like this because teams, to me, in my opinion, are looking at it from an opposite perspective, looking at it bottom up. So they looking at it like, what was the big thing that we saw with the offseason debacle we was talking about last time with the Giants, which is the owners coming up to the GM saying, "Hey, don't let our guy go. He sell the most jerseys. He's the most likable guy that we got in the team, probably one of the most likable guys in the league. We got to pay him." So the owner looking at it bottom up like, I can get seats here if Saquon's here. Even if we go 4 and whatever, I can get somebody to show up and buy this jersey and go to this concession stand. And then even if they leave and kind of pissed, we still got them as a Giants fan. I think front offices are trying to beat the owners where the money's at. Saying, I'll give you a perfect example. I do not think y'all should have waited that long to give up A-Rod. But I understand from a position of where y'all wanted to be in the division, not letting that go. Because I think the owners and I think the front office both, or y'all a little different because y'all ain't got an owner. But y'all's establishment, I think, agreed it's better to make it to conference championships and divisional rounds than it is to be Detroit. And it's better to kind of get you a quarterback that will get you 10, 11 wins. And this is what I think is Jerry Jones' biggest flaw, which is I think people think Jerry Jones wants to go to a Super Bowl every year. I think Jerry Jones wants to sell tickets and finish above 9 wins. As long as he can sell tickets and finish above 9 wins, Jerry Jones is satisfied. That's why I feel like, I mean, we never talked about this out loud, but Dak being a black quarterback that long in Dallas, and nobody really having that conversation where it's like, we expect Jerry to be this mega, I ain't gonna say racist, but more conservative type of guy where you just wouldn't see maybe a black quarterback in that position for that long. But you tell me why Dak still got that job. You know what I'm saying? And I really think when you look at the overall level what's happening, Jerry Jones only one winning right now when it comes to mediocrity saving you money. He ain't had to pay a lot for Dak. You got teams walking around giving you talking about quarterbacks walking around. I don't even think if you getting over 25 million a year, it's no way you telling me you not getting me 8 wins a season. And if you end up missing a playoff out of that 3-4 year window, I damn near got to get you off my team, because what is the cap space really there for? If I can't build around the pieces that I need to stop you from losing me games, you not going A-Rod and going, prime Aaron Rodgers. Y'all, in my opinion, y'all probably had one of the best examples of a superhero at quarterback that the league has ever seen with Aaron Rodgers. And that's a situation where it's like I said, I can't get mad at y'all for keeping him, because the man made games happen, like seasons happen for y'all on his back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay. And he sat there quietly while y'all never drafted that wide receiver for him. He sat there quietly while he never got the free agent splash that these quarterbacks be getting. And then you get somebody like Josh Allen. Now you tell me, if you a GM and Josh Allen, let's say it's some fantasy draft type shit, you can pick whoever you want. You really taking Josh Allen in a situation where the quarterbacks on the board are, I'm gonna say it like this. Who is your tier 1 must-have quarterbacks in the league? If you can pick maybe 3 or 4, who is I gotta have him on my team as of right now? I can say Lamar, because I know we mentioned that 11-win season. You can't go wrong with an 11-win season guy. Who is your other 3? Pat, of course. So really two. Who's your other two?
I think universally the big four in the league in terms of quarterbacks is Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, and Josh Allen. I think those are the consensus big four that that I think everyone mainly talks about. Kind of thing is with Burrow, he has to show because I feel like we are living too hard on his Super Bowl run, his second year in the league. But outside of that, it's just empty calorie numbers in non-playoff
Yep.
appearances.
Yep.
So, but that big three is Mahomes, Lamar, and Josh. No matter how we try to spin it,
But
out
who
of
are you paying that? But not to now that you answer that question, money wise. Now let's talk about purse. You opening up your purse. Who you giving the money to out of those four?
it only has to be one, or can I give it to all?
I know you're gonna say Pat, so I'm gonna take him out of the equation. Let's say Pat. Let's say you can't get Pat, but we all know yada yada yada. Out of the three that's left, who is you giving the money to for your starting quarterback position for the next 4 years?
If I'm factoring everything in,
Mm-hmm.
I would say Josh. If I'm being blind to how this shit really operates, I would say Lamar.
Mm.
Now, let me add details to that.
Yeah.
Okay, with Lamar, like I said, if I'm just going blindly, um, I would choose Lamar, but we both know it's more to it for Lamar to win a Super Bowl. It's gonna be a lot more that's required because of his skin color, his makeup, etc. So, but in terms of Josh Allen, I can see Josh winning the Super Bowl before I can see Burrow and Lamar doing it because I feel like Burrow is going to have to sit down for a little bit because he went to his Super Bowl debut and lost.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And I don't see him having that GM and that coach like Philly has to where they can reboot a roster like that
Yeah.
and get right back in like 2 years later. I don't see the Bengals doing that. We seen Philly do that. So I kind of have to put a pause on Joe Burrow in terms of can I envision him winning the Super Bowl. In terms of Lamar, we see they keep doing him over the worst way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like a long shot. So just between those three, I would say Josh, just depending on his makeup and the team that he's playing for, I can see him winning a Super Bowl more realistically than the three. And I kind of see myself giving him the bag and kind of expecting a return on my investment
Mm-hmm.
more. Um, like I said, I'm just going blind, just going off of individually who I feel like impacts the game more and who I would trust giving my money to, just betting blindly. I would say Lamar. That's my pick.
I don't disagree with the pick, but I say that to say I would take Purdy. I would take
Okay.
Purdy right now with the contract year that he got. This is how I look at it with teams and when they deciding to pay these quarterbacks. I feel like we get into a point, and I think you wanted to say it, but kind of like not maybe to this extreme, but we get into a point where we just got to stop paying him. We got to cut back a little bit on what's happening because there is no success that's coming with the contract. The contract is there because of what you've shown to us the last 4 years. I get that. The last 3 years, I get that. What teams are trying to do now is they're trying to restructure, as you can see, they're trying to restructure these guys early. Like I'm talking about second year in the league. Like, okay, we're gonna try to make this money from your rookie contract, and then we're gonna try to give you some money so that you don't think about the money you're gonna need in 2 years after you have another successful season. And if you don't have a successful season, I think that's what they lining up with Jaden Daniels. If you can't bring us back in these next 3-4 years, we will take the losses that we have, and you either gonna take a pay cut, or we just gonna have to deal you out for the next guy that we can. Because I think teams are realizing you can't marry him. You can't marry him like you used to. You could marry Drew Brees because at the end of the day, like you saying, I'm talking. Everybody's not giving you 5,000 yard seasons, bro. I don't care who you got out wide. Everybody ain't giving you 5,000 yard seasons. So it's like you got to be worth your weight in gold. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady is worth their weight in gold. I don't care how many rings you got individually. Those are quarterbacks that are worth their weight. If I'm looking at Brock Purdy, I cannot see a real. and it's gonna sound crazy. I hate I gotta defend Purdy, but I can't see a real difference between a Purdy, a Josh Allen, and a Justin Herbert right now. I just can't see it. I know that Purdy has gotten to the conference championship game. I know that Herbert has not done that one time. I know that I think Herbert's a better quarterback than Purdy, but I know that Josh Allen is probably the best pick of them all. But Josh and McDermott, and you be talking about coach on the hot seat. When is Sean gonna have his chance to be? You know what I'm saying? When are we gonna talk about what McDermott is not doing with Josh Allen? You a Buffalo fan?
Yeah.
You got to be. You got the first time in your life that the Patriots is on their downtime, and you seen no leeway for you to go miles above that to even sniff one Super Bowl since Brady been gone. That's a problem to me because you just told me, and I agree with you, that Josh Allen's a top 4 quarterback in the league. So in the years that Brady's been absent, he was your biggest challenge. The years that he's been absent, you couldn't get nothing done over the hump.
Now he's running into the new Brady.
Exactly. And now you stuck with the payment. Now you stuck with the money you gave him.
Yep. So.
But yeah, man, I think that's a good question. Honestly, I think the cap space situation, I think you put it best. They're gonna have to figure out how to curtail some of this money they're giving out. And I think teams, I think they in it right now to try to do that. I think giving these guys that first year off your rookie contract, the restructuring, I think long term, it's a way for them to block your money on the back end and keep shoveling it down the road until they either figure out what they want to do with you permanently or they can deal you to a team that has not paid yet. You get what I'm saying? Because even Carolina is a perfect example. They're never gonna give Bryce Young more money. That's just my opinion as far as whatever the situation is, they willing to deal him out. Let's say to Arizona in a year. Bryce Young go to Arizona. Kyler Murray, whatever situation happens, whatever that's gonna be. Josh Allen might find himself being the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And they just take on that contract money. They ain't paid nobody yet. You get what I'm saying? It's almost like teams is kind of putting the money on the front end now. And then if you are one of those guys, they give you a Mahomes contract. They'll give you something similar. But that Deshaun Watson deal, I think that screwed a lot of quarterbacks. I think we don't know it yet, but Deshaun Watson for sure hurt a lot of quarterbacks by just having the career he's been having.
Yeah, that contract, they even was saying it, even when they gave it out to him, they was like, out of all people, why did he get the first fully guaranteed deal?
Yeah.
Coming off of the situation that he had. But honestly, man, like, if we been serious, I would personally rather, and teams wouldn't like this, but if I'm judging from a fan perspective, I like what the Chiefs did with Mahomes, giving him a 10-year marriage of, okay, he's going to be here for 10 years. He's the placeholder. He's not going anywhere. Even Buffalo, when they finally gave Josh Allen his first big extension, they gave him 6 years. I'm like, damn, you don't really see it. You don't really see 4 or 5 years at max. But they gave him 6 years. And he just re-upped and signed a new contract this offseason. But even when he signed that contract for 6 years, I was like, okay, they're marrying this guy for 6 years. And you never really seen Buffalo run into a situation in which their money was tight or they can't pay this player. It's always from they just don't want to pay people. They ain't have no problem giving Von Miller $100 million contract.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would rather that than to keep seeing quarterbacks sign full 5-year contracts and you squeezing all this money in just a full 5-year period and it's hurting your salary cap. And then even when you move on from that team, even when you move on from that player, you still got to recover an extra 2 years after that. So it's hurting the sport bad, man.
So you want the MLB contracts? You want them to get them the because that's the only other sport I know will give you that money over a long period of time is baseball.
Yeah, I think they would just have to work out the guarantees of it, kind of work out the kinks and the fine print writing of all the contracts. But you obviously can't give a wide receiver a 7-year deal.
Yeah.
you can't entrust that. But a quarterback, man, like the ones that we know, Lamar should not be signing no 4-year deals. Like, this is Lamar Jackson. Like, he is supposed to I feel like Lamar and his play style, they should at least guarantee that man to play in Baltimore too. He's at least 32,
Yeah, you
33-ish.
think
If I'm just
32?
being, I think so, man. A 2-time league MVP. He has shown you nothing but getting you 11 to 10 wins a year.
They don't trust that
Like
play style though. They don't know how long that play style gonna last in the league.
that's true. And if you had said that like 2 years ago, I'd have been like, okay. But this man just came off throwing for 40
I know,
TDs.
I know, I know, I know, I know.
Like, bro, 40 TDs and 5 picks. The only other player that can say they put up those numbers is Aaron Rodgers. Like, he literally put up
Mm-hmm.
a prime Rodgers season.
Mm-hmm.
And all you gave this man was a dominant running back.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you get the man a true #1 receiver.
So you think Baltimore playing the game? You think Baltimore behind the scenes know what the deal is? So you think they playing the game?
Yeah, they just gave what's his name? They just gave the coach John Harbaugh a 3-year extension.
Yeah.
So now Lamar probably got 3 years if his deal left. So unless they just trying to run these last 3 years with them together and then rip the Band-Aid off after that, that's the only thing I can see. But if Lamar don't get an extension, at least next off season, they definitely are running a parallel relationship for Harbaugh and Lamar to last 3 years.
I can see that.
Because that when they gave Harbaugh that contract, I was like, 3 years seemed kind of odd. But then if you match it up with Lamar's remaining years on his deal, it makes perfect sense.
Well, you figure let's say Lamar if Lamar goes 12 games this year, you figure the conversation now is you got you technically I don't know because Lamar one of them quarterbacks that's not going to give you a hard time with negotiations though. He has seemed like he will, but I think he liked Baltimore. I think he liked where he been at. I think he don't want to leave. I think if he wasn't
It's
Rodgers, he could demand more money. I just don't think he's going to demand more money out of Baltimore.
the only reason why I think he will is because it's who's representing him, which is his mother. He doesn't have a traditional NFL agent, so he self-represented it. You know, the man coming from a black house, so I think his mom gonna try to get him every penny she can get. And I
That's a
think,
good point.
and is it Jaden Daniels? Isn't his mother kind of like one of his agents as well? Does he have official?
I
So
think she is
that's
his
why,
agent. Yep.
right? So that's why it made perfect sense with that post you sent to me like 2-3 weeks ago of him possibly being the first to get $90 million just for 1 year. So it's making sense. Like when you represented by your own family, they not leaving no money on the table, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think Baltimore, I'm not gonna say they don't like that, but don't you remember like right before they gave Lamar that deal, they gave him permission to seek a trade. So why you think that if you really value this man, why are you letting him go see what his worth is to other teams? Like you lock that man in. That was wrong that they did that, man, because Lamar had already had a league MVP, etc.
It was
Why
definitely
you?
wrong. It was wrong, but I think I'm playing devil's advocate because I think it was wrong. But I could also see a situation where I think the conversation behind closed doors was Lamar saying I need X, and they were saying okay, before we give you X, let's get a real value what the league willing to pay you. If the league is willing to pay you X, we'll give you Z. We'll give you more than you know what I'm saying. We'll take it up. But if the league is saying they give you Y, then you got to meet us somewhere. I think now seeing what we know today is wrong as dirt because look at you know what I'm saying. Look at what the product is. But at the time, I just don't think they wanted black quarterbacks to. I think a lot of this, and you know, this is the conspiracy talk, whatever y'all want to call it, but I think a lot of this is dictated by Roger and what the precedent can be. Because if you set the precedent early with Lamar for that first contract, how do you get like from that contract on? How do you get the rest of them? If Lamar get that big payday in 21, where are we at in 25 right now? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you can't really value the guy. You can't really value the guys you want to value because if you fuck around and pay him too much, you get a Deshaun situation. But Deshaun situation is like you getting guaranteed money coming out of Houston. you didn't know how the fit was gonna be in Cleveland. They were just banking on please get us out of this fucking 0-16 territory. We want to compete for titles and we want to compete for this division. So they was willing to get that money to do that. They was being serious. Did it work out? No, but I can't fault them for taking a chance on their guy. Lamar at that time, I don't think Baltimore was craving success at that point as bad as they are now. I think Lamar has shown them I can get you a title, but I don't think they was craving success to overpay Lamar. That's what I think happened with the Lamar situation. A team got to really want to win too to give you that money. Some teams, like I said, they just want to have a winning record against their division foes and they want to sell seats. That's really it. You can't tell me Jacksonville is an aggressive franchise. And I say aggressive in every sense of the word. You can't tell me that you've seen out of Jacksonville any sense of we want to win today, tomorrow, next year. I think Jacksonville don't want to be the laughingstock in the league, but they are definitely there to be shopped. I think they're a team that's looking at it like we got to sell eventually. We don't want to sell a dumpster franchise, but we will take a you know what I'm saying, a middle of the barrel, you know. And I think Lamar got put into a bad situation because John was such a solidified coach. Even a 3-year thing to me screams you letting Lamar think it's a marriage, but I think the marriage is strictly with Harbaugh. I don't think there's a marriage with Lamar even to this day. I'm being real with you. Cause I don't think the value is there because I think they know what you know, which is we can't win it with Lamar. At least not yet.
I got you. Damn, man, it's what
How you
Lamar.
don't give him money now though? How do you not give him money after this season? That's the real question. Who
Yeah, it's
deserves
almost
more
like
money?
it's almost like they're waiting to see something that haven't happened yet, or I really can't put my finger on it, man. And that's that like will open my eye with a lot of these teams is that you can tell certain moves and certain buttons that are being pressed is not serious about
Nope.
winning.
Nope.
Because if you have Lamar,
Nope.
why the fuck would you push the button to go get DK Metcalf? That man been in the league. Lamar been in the league since 2018.
Even before DK Metcalf, why didn't they go get I think me and you talked about this when it happened. What did one of us say D Hop was supposed to go to Baltimore? Was we talking about that or no? Before he signed his last deal, I could have swore I talked to you about D Hop going to Baltimore. And it just made sense. Well, I don't know, at the time it made sense to me. D Hop going to Baltimore, that's before Derek got there. And I just thought, I mean, you got an Asian receiver who maybe got a year left, really, really in the tank. Give him to Lamar. It ain't gonna cost you much. Here go.
Yeah, cause they I mean I think Tennessee gave up like a fifth just to get him off the Cardinals' hand, and I think the Chiefs traded another 5 just to get him. So yeah,
I'm calling league interference. That's what I'm gonna start calling this shit. League interference. I feel like, I mean, what's Worthy? You knew when we saw him at the combine that year. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like the writing was on the wall. Hands off, nobody can have him. You know what I'm saying? That's
yep.
league interference to me. I say this: had the Chiefs had maybe a really strong, I don't want to say it, but had they had this really strong second wide receiver, the D Hop situation is funny because you can tell whenever Andy is in need of help with Mahomes, the situation is never Mahomes need help. It's never Mahomes can't win a game by himself or Mahomes can't put it on his back. We just got to get him some more help to spread the love out. He could have did it with Travis. He could have did it with X, Y, and Z, but we wouldn't go get D Hop because we felt like that was gonna put us over what hump? Y'all been over the hump. So what was the need to go get that talent? That's something we never saw the Patriots do outside of Moss. When they went and got Randy, okay, that's one of those situations where I think maybe that's league interference or maybe that's them getting a guy. Since that point, we have never seen. Probably the biggest one is what? Josh Gordon. They went and got Josh that 1 year. I'm trying to think of big free
Yeah,
agency signings for wide receivers with Tom.
yeah.
Josh,
They
and that's it.
they had Moss. They made the trade for Moss.
Mm-hmm.
They they signed Josh Gordon.
Yep.
He gave him multiple chances. And I think just the one little year they had Ocho Cinco.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably it. But that's like the only time they made moves for at least the offensive side of the ball.
Chiefs
Other
doing
than
it
that,
every year, dog. They picking into the land every season.
they've been doing that since they let their number one go away, which is Tyreek.
Yeah.
They kind of had this revolving door of receivers and kind of just using Kelsey as like the security blanket. But that's been they MO. But at the same time, I don't think the Chiefs will probably be no, I'm not gonna say probably. They wouldn't be as good defensively if they kept Tyreek Hill because they got a lot of those players on defense they got now because of that Tyreek Hill trade. They was able to get like their number one corner, Trent McDuffie. They got him in like the second round. It's a second round pick because of that Tyreek Hill
Yep.
trade. So that kind of helped retool a lot of the stuff that they had going on. But Tyreek Hill wanted a bag the whole time. Imagine you letting Tyreek make 30, 35 mil on your roster.
Yeah.
With Mahomes' contract.
Yeah. I mean, receivers though, receivers you can always let walk just because if you in a situation where you got a Mahomes, you figure your next Tyreek is a year away. Tops. Just
Yeah.
because, you know what I'm saying, that relationship, that type of chemistry can be developed. Especially if you get another guy, it might not be the exact same, but if you get a guy like they trying to do a Worthy, where I don't think he'll ever be Tyreek Hill, but the explosiveness from Worthy is sufficient enough to not pay, you know what I'm saying, to say that was a good deal to not pay Tyreek Hill because money is money at the end of the day. So if you can avoid paying, you avoid paying.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, they did go to, 3 Super Bowls since trading him.
Yep.
So can't be mad at that at all. So, yeah, they doing something right.
I know we got slightly off topic, which I don't mind. I feel like it's a good conversation regardless. I did want to ask you this though. We kind of already talked about the salary cap situation, so I'm not going to ask what's too much to pay for or what is too much to pay for a player. But what do you think about the Purdy situation? Do you think they give him the 50 mil they expected to give him? 50 mil a year?
I think they definitely up the bag. Just give it to him. I mean, like I said at the start of the conversation, they moved off 6 starters. So they opening up that money for
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
you let Debo go away, and then they gave Ayuk all that money last offseason. And then
Mm-hmm.
this offseason, it was talks that they wanted to move on
To
from
trade him.
him.
Yep. Yep.
So I don't think there's much questioning around that. I think they're definitely laying the chips down to get this man that money.
That's insane to me, man. I gotta just say, I gotta go on record. Somebody gotta say it for the world.
Cause
Like,
I don't agree with it. Man. I don't agree paying that man all that money just because he had an NFC Championship game appearance and a Super Bowl appearance. But
50
that's
million
that's
though, 50 million for Brock Purdy.
and
We
then
talking
he living in Cali playing on a 7th round contract. So you know his agent is telling him, man, strike hot.
Yep.
Get every penny you
Yep.
can. Because no agent is going to tell you to leave money on the table. No agent. They get their 10%. So they don't want you to leave. They don't want you to
Shit
leave
is
any of that on the table.
insane, bro. We really got to a point where, if everybody that don't know, this has been, I feel like a conversation we've been having privately for a long time since he came into the league, which is like, I never thought I'd see the day where a system quarterback, by definition, by nature, a system quarterback would get the level of praise and attention as somebody like Patrick Mahomes. I just don't. I truly just don't get where we at with this. I don't see it no more. I mean, I understand a guy that don't lose you games. I understand a guy that don't turn the ball over. I get that. I get how important it is to have reliable hands on offense at the quarterback position.
Right.
But 50, even so somebody would say, okay, what would you pay him? I give Brock
Man, honestly, they gave Baker 3 years, 30
mm-hmm,
mil.
mm-hmm.
Man, make Purdy's cap hit like 35 to 40. Make at least because the thing is, I do want him to at least get compensated on going to a conference game and a Super Bowl. So you'll give him a 4-year deal, make at least the first 2 years of that deal based off what he's already done, and the other 2 years based off what you'd expect for him to do, if that kind of
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. So
He wouldn't take that though.
No way in hell would he
He
take it.
wouldn't take that.
I
And
mean, he wouldn't take, not to cut you off, but he wouldn't take that if he seen Jordan Love get paid
yeah,
just
I'm
off
about
of
to
winning
say.
one playoff game and getting 240 mil, no way in the hell is he gonna sit there and take less
Shit,
for
he
having
saw
a whole
Kirk get
Super Bowl.
paid.
Right. So that right there, Kirk, man, a guy like Kirk is a players like Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr, they definitely fuck it up for everybody else, man. They definitely fuck it. They make it so hard for GMs, bro. Cause this is like you can't have Burrow or Josh, etc., come in your office, ask for this money, but you willing to give them the same amount of money Kirk Cousins just signed for, or etc.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way in hell. So,
But what you
um,
think? What you think the GM was thinking? Just to just dive into this real quick. What you think the GM was thinking when he gave Kirk that money? Going into the situation they was going into, what you think he was thinking flying his ass out there and giving him that money?
that I think that was a combination of Arthur Blank and the GM.
Mm.
Because you can even tell on draft night when they drafted Michael Penix, Arthur Blank was looking at the GM like, what did you do? Like, what was the purpose of that move? You see what I'm saying? Like, they didn't even discuss that shit,
Yeah.
man. Like, he made that move blindly on draft night. So, um, yeah, it's
You went out. You went out. I can't hear you. Nah, it's you muted now. Now it's muted for real. Yep, bet.
so that's the main thing when you looking at these it's obvious disconnect with GMs and coaches.
Mm-hmm.
That's obvious. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can tell by the moves that are being made. So when Kirk Cousins signed that contract, man, I was like, at this point, he got to be going into contract negotiations with bomb scrap this chest or something. Like,
Shit.
man, like,
Yeah.
dude,
I thought it was
because
Atlanta's way. I truly thought it was Atlanta's way of being Atlanta and saying the South is in a position where we could win it all right now. And I think they
that,
want. I
yeah,
think they thought Kirk, if Kirk can do this, because Kirk was in Minnesota, right? He was in Minnesota last year. If Kirk can do this in Minnesota, whatever he was doing there, they assumed in a weaker division with talent kind of, and I think they put a lot of stock on the guys, the personnel they had, and them thinking that Kirk would be the one that would switch that mind into, oh, we a playoff team now. We're not just competing against the South. We're a playoff team. We're gonna get to the playoffs. We're gonna win our division. Maybe let's lose first round, but we're gonna make it. I think when Kirk got in there and started losing games, I think the locker room stopped. I think the locker room started
yeah.
thinking, can we start the other guy? And then when they didn't start Penix early enough, I think that's when the faith went into next season. I think the whole team got into next season mode. From that off season, if Kirk don't show you what you want him to do early, which is really you want Kirk to go out there and win you. In my opinion, if I'm signing Kirk that money, my first 10 games, I want to go 7 wins. I want to go 7-3. I want to go 7-3 into the later stretch of the season. Because I don't feel like my division, I shouldn't be splitting no games with nobody. If you looking at Atlanta going into the season last year, I don't have to lose to the Saints. I just don't. I know it's a rivalry, but you don't have to lose to New Orleans. You don't got to lose to Carolina ever. Tampa Baker gonna get you for one. So let's say you finish your division run 5-1. That's cool. That's a cool season for Kirk. That's you know what I'm saying. That's something like damn. He didn't do it all, but he came out there 5-1 on the division. But I think truly they just had that great white hype in that mind of like, okay, I'm gonna go into it with Kirk Cousins, and I seen what he's done before. No way he can't do it here, right? We Atlanta, it's a different city, and the whole bro, the whole whatever he did at that press conference where he was like Atlanta ATL something whatever he's talking about lemon pepper that whole little shenanigan shit they was pulling, bro. Yeah, all right, like that shit was I don't know that was to me that's the whole reason Atlanta can't be the city to win championships. It's because of shit like that. It's too much of like playful nature with franchises in Atlanta, and I think the
Yeah.
fans don't see that. But go ahead, what you about to say?
I was gonna ask you this, and you probably already know it, probably don't. But did you know that the Hawks originally drafted Luca on draft night, And then trading him for Trae Young.
Yeah. I knew that. Yep. Which is some crazy shit too. But look, I'm gonna give him that. I gave him that because at least Trae Young's still bringing ticket sales, right? You can at least say Trae Young's still bringing in money.
Yeah, I never held it against him. It's just one of those things that always crazy to look back at.
I know.
But like I said, I don't really hold it against him because culturally, I feel like Trae Young is a better fit for Atlanta. Meanwhile, you had Dirk, kind of like the Australian quiet guy. He kind of reminded me like Dirk, so he kind of like fit culturally in Dallas. Meanwhile, as soon as Trae Young got to Atlanta, you started hearing the Migos call him Ice Tray, shit like that. So culturally, it was just a good fit. So I didn't really see nothing wrong with it either.
You don't think that hurts Atlanta's you don't think that has no effect on like professional teams in Atlanta?
With the Trae Young draft?
The culture. Like let me give you an example. Philly is one where you got a toxic sports culture, but it feeds into their fandom. So you got, you know what I'm saying, you got fans that are crazy, but they not only are they showing up to games, they damn near will ride for you as long as you winning, but still will be there. They just gonna hate on you when you lose it. Atlanta, it's always been a lukewarm city where it's like if the Falcons don't win, you probably won't hear about them in the season. Like you won't hear about them nowhere. If they not on an up year, you're not hearing about the Falcons nowhere. But I say this: the only team that had success recently in Atlanta, the only two teams, United and the Braves, they had none of that cultural, you know what I'm talking about, like impact that you see on the Hawks and the Falcons. I feel like that's hurting the brand long term on a global scale with Atlanta. That's just my opinion. That's how I always looked at it.
The thing is with Atlanta is the South as a whole is because I always ask this over the last, I believe over the last 45 years, only 6 Super Bowls have came to the South. If I'm being for real, the Bucks got 2, Saints got 1, and we know Dallas won 3 in the '90s. Other than that, the NFL don't show love to the South when it comes to Super Bowls. Like, so you really got to think about that. So even if you take out the Cowboys in the last 30 years, only 3 Super Bowls have came to the South. Bucks won in 04, Saints won in 09, and the Bucks won again in 2020 with Brady. That's it. Other than that, the NFL don't even think about rewarding the South with Super Bowls. Just think about it. The entirety of the South, whether it's the state of Texas, Arizona Cardinals, the whole state of Florida, Tennessee, Carolina, like just think about it. They do not reward the South with championships. The NBA do. No, now that I think about it, the NBA they don't reward the South either because we know the Spurs they got their 5 in the 2000s. I give them that.
The Heat got their 3.
And 3. So that's like 8 in the last 40 years. Also, man, they don't reward the South. No, probably like 2 more because the Houston Rockets did win 2 in the '90s. So, but at least like in the last 30 years, man, they don't give love to the South when it comes to championships.
Damn, I never even thought
Like
about that.
I really had to sit back and think about it. 'Cause I'm like, the easiest thing to do is to make the Saints the laughing stock, make the Falcons the laughing stock. When you really think about it, man,
whole division.
They don't that whole like southern region. They don't show no love to them people, man.
Now you got me thinking across sport lines. I'm in baseball in my head right now. The Braves got one. They be well. Can we even add baseball though? It's such a different dynamic. I'm thinking overall. That's a good point. Damn. I mean, I ain't a Falcons fan, so I can't. I feel for them niggas, but I don't. It ain't killing me. It's like, damn, like that shit is true. I mean, I always took it, to be real with you, bro. I always took it as like the South just don't have the South don't have the history.
I don't feel like they have the history. I don't feel like leagues. Cause think about it, like I can't really describe what it was in terms of the origin for the Cowboys in the 90s.
Mm.
I've been trying to figure out what's the backstory behind that for the longest. I know what's the backstory behind the Chiefs run, the Patriots run, all that stuff. But even the Spurs, when the Spurs won 5 championships, we know at least the Spurs makeup. They were a clean organization. Everything was buttoned up. It was tightly ran. And you didn't really see any of that off the field shit going on with the Spurs. So we understand why for a Southern team, they was rewarded for what they got.
Yeah.
With the Saints, I mean, that's pretty easy. It was the Hurricane Katrina tribute. That's all that shit was. Tom Brady going to the Bucks in 2020. Yep. They won the pandemic Super Bowl.
Yep.
John Gruden won the Super Bowl with the Bucks in 2004. He was playing against his former team, the Raiders. Yep. That was the John Gruden Super Bowl. Yep. So I'm basically like giving a storyline for all of the winners. But when you think about it, man, they don't reward the South like that. A lot of Super Bowls go to the Midwest or just the West in general.
I'm thinking about what you just said about the Cowboys. I always thought of their history as Jimmy Johnson. I know he won championships in college with Miami. I know he was a like prolific kind of Hall of Famer college level. Then he went. I'm assuming his first job was Dallas. I know he was in Dallas for at least a decade. I think it was a decade. Won what three Super Bowls there with Dallas? I think they won 3 in the 90s. They won 3 in the 90s, right, Dallas?
Yeah, they won 3, and I think he won like 2, and then Tom Landry came in.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe, I mean, damn, you're right. I don't know. I'm gonna be real with you because even before then, I don't know of Dallas's history before the 90s. I don't know nothing about them.
They just won 2 in the 70s, and that was it. And this is another thing. Is when you think about all the historic franchises, whether it's San Fran, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Dallas, all those teams. And this is why I don't, as much as I just laugh at this stuff when it comes to the Cowboys, because I know it's universal. The easiest thing for us to say is, the Cowboys haven't won in 30 years. San Fran hasn't won in 30 years either. Pittsburgh, they won 4 championships in the 70s, then won another one until 2005. That was a 30-year gap. Green Bay, they won their second one under Lombardi in like 68 or some shit, and then won against like 96 with Brett Favre and Homer. That was damn near a 30-year gap. That happens universally amongst all the historic franchises because it's better for the NFL from a parity standpoint for them to have your elite teams to just be just there for relevant purposes and just to keep the consistency going. Because why would you give Dallas, Green Bay, Pittsburgh multiple Super Bowls when the foundation is already established? You know, if you give their fans 11 wins, they're going to show up and watch the product. But over the last 20 years, it's going to be another eye-opener. Over the last 20 years, let's take out the Patriots. Let's take away their 6. Let's take away the Chiefs 9. Okay. Over the last 25 years, just think about it. The teams that have really won Super Bowls have kind of been smaller market teams. Like I just said, we already know the Saints got 1. Bucks got 2. We know for sure that's 2 small market teams.
The Rams.
The Rams. They won 1 in 99 or 2000, and they won another one in 2021.
The Colts.
Colts. The Eagles. I don't know if the Eagles had any success before 98, before Andy Reid got there.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm trying to think about that historically,
Right, so they won their first one in 2017. A small market in terms of historic significance. The Baltimore Ravens, they won 2. That's an expansion team. They won 1 in 2000 against the Giants, and they won another one in 2012. Just keep following the pattern. I mean, we already said the Steelers, they won 2. That's an anomaly. The Steelers, the Packers, they won in 05, 08, and 2010. But if you keep going and going and going, they kind of filled in a lot of those smaller market teams. I can't call the Giants a small market team because they won 2, and they still had 1-2 in the 80s with Lawrence Taylor.
The Jets got 1, right? The Jets got 1.
Not in the last 25 years.
But they got one in their history. I'm trying to think. They not Super Bowl lists, right? I thought the Jets had one.
Joe Namath should have got them at least one.
Let me just double check it. Why are you going?
Yeah, Joe Namath should have got them at least one. But yeah, historically, that's at least that's what Roger Goodell is trying to do for sure. He's trying to expand that parity and not give the obvious teams all the championships, man.
So to
Well,
answer that, the Jets have just one, but they're the only no, them and the Saints are the only two teams to win their only Super Bowl appearance.
okay.
Yeah.
So Falcons, they went to 2, right? And they go on
Falcons
2.
with the 2. Falcons with the
Okay.
2, and they lost their last. Well, they lost both of them, right? I mean, they lost the last one.
They lost the 2 appearances that they had. I think Minnesota's the same thing. I think Minnesota probably had 1 appearance and lost. I'm not exactly 1,000% sure on that. But
I'm gonna look that up while we talking right now.
that that's kind of like where I feel like the NFL is going, man. I think they really want to, because the easy thing for us to do is put a lot of elite teams as like championship favorites coming into the season. But I think we now have to start looking at it and saying the NFL want to reward teams I feel like have 2 or less rings in a jury case. That's how I really feel about it. I feel like if your team already have 3 or more, obviously excluding the Chiefs, they trying to usher in new
So you think that's why we in that
brands.
situation right now? Which would make
Absolutely.
sense, yeah. Which would make sense with the
Yeah, because they 2025. I mean, man, that's 40 years ago.
yeah.
That was in '85
And they
that y'all
gave us
had
one
got y'all
appearance
last one.
since then.
All right, so they not trying to keep that going on longer, because you can make an argument that the Bears are like the Knicks. I mean, when they're winning, the sport is just more entertaining. It's just more engaging. So yeah, they not trying to have y'all going on 45, 50 years without having another one. And
What
like
about
always,
like Houston though? What about somebody like the Texans? You see that Shroud situation? They got the keys on offense. They developing their defense right now as we speak.
Houston is definitely that's like one that I kind of put in that bracket as well. But I gotta stick with my narrative when it comes to Houston, because Houston is one of those. They have I put them in as one of those teams. They're in a situation in which I have to see it to believe it. Kind of like the Eagles. The whole year I knew the Eagles had the roster, but I stuck with my narrative, and it ended up being wrong now. But for a long time, once you make it to the Super Bowl and you lose your first one, you don't make it back. That's why I didn't see Hurts getting back this year. Because I'm like, he lost his first Super Bowl appearance. And over like the last 20 years, they said every quarterback that lost their first Super Bowl, they never made it back.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I counted the Eagles out, because it had nothing to do with their team. I just had to go with the process and how it was laid out to me, which is that once you lose that first one, you're going to be like Burrow. It is going to be a hard climb to get back there.
Yeah.
So,
That's real.
But
I was with you this year too. I did not see Philly. Let's just say the NFL surprised me. I did not see Philly, you know what I'm saying, having that situation being a favor.
Because the one that the roster was there all year long, but man, I stood pat with my with that narrative. I didn't see Hurts breaking that curse, but he ended up getting back there. So, but to tie that to Houston, I'm tie that in from the perspective of who their head coach is. We've only seen 2 head coaches that were black win Super Bowls. That was Tony Dungy with Peyton Manning, and it was Tomlin with Roethlisberger. So the odds that
A black on black.
Nico Ryans, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I said. I'm not gonna count it out, but I have to see it to believe it. I have to see the curse get broken before I can say, all right, that's something the NFL would allow. Because for the longest, we didn't think It was going to be 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, but then we got Hurts and Mahomes there, so it has to happen first. That's where I'm at with it. But they are doing a good job at breaking a lot of these curses because the MVP curse was real for a long time until Mahomes broke it. He won the MVP in the Super Bowl in the same year. That's when he first beat Philly.
Yep. I feel like they
I
tying up loose ends with that, like loose ends on the storylines.
yep, yep. It's too obvious because
Yeah.
it's like the shit get pumped up to the media, and I look at it, and then it's like my brain will just be, all right, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, count them out, and then when the finale comes in, because think about it like this: I remember we had this conversation. Final 4 teams that were left was KC versus Buffalo, Eagles versus Washington. And I remember, bro, I was so confident. I was like, there's no way they're gonna let Hurts back in the Super Bowl. I remember I said, with that being said, man, I got Washington going to the Super Bowl. You called me crazy as hell. But you was like, there's no way they about to let a black rookie get in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see them breaking that curse. But that's what they did. They let Hurts get back there. I didn't see Mahomes. I thought this year was gonna be Josh Allen year. I ain't gonna lie, but he had to lay down once again. I think Josh Allen is gonna go down as possibly
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino or
Philip Rivers.
That's what I said. Man, I wish I had put that on Twitter or something. But I remember in 2019, I was literally calling Josh Allen the Phillip Rivers of this era. I swear I was doing it because I was like, that's literally who he's going to be. But if I had to give a basketball comparison, I would say he's probably the James Harden of this era from the perspective of James Harden when he was in Houston. He laid down a lot in the playoffs, but he kept losing to the Warriors. He kept losing to the team that kept winning. When you look at Josh, he keeps losing to Mahomes. Like, and I feel like that's deliberate, right? I feel like that they're purposely setting it up every single season.
That's definitely
So,
deliberate.
yeah, that's like
I think Josh sneaking one in, bro. I think Josh ends up sneaking one in on some Joe Flacco shit.
He thing is with Josh, I don't think him alone. I don't think his storyline by itself is strong enough. I feel like he's gonna have to get that coach that is turning heads, or he's gonna have to like really get skill and big name players on the field with him because you just tried him out there with James Cook and Keon Coleman. It's not enough.
With anybody, bro.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so I think from a playmaker standpoint, from a big name standpoint, high profile players, you gotta put more on the field than just that.
Yep.
You gave Von Miller $100 million deal, you're not receiving your return on your investment. They got no pressure on Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, man.
Damn.
So, and on top of that, your coach is supposed to be a defensive minded coach. So it's like, what's going on, man? You got Rasul Douglas as a 33-year-old corner as your number one corner.
Man.
You eventually got to get a new corner. Damar Hamlin, I mean, that's not gonna work. That man run a 4 foot, he run a 4.7, and he was a safety.
Damar Hamlin is never mind. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's like, man, they gotta get that roster together. But I'm actually glad that man won MVP this year because we all thought this was gonna be a down year this year once they lost Diggs. So for them dudes to make it back to the championship game this all season, that goes back to what I'm saying. It's only a few dudes that I'm willing to give a bag to, like Josh, Lamar, and they can make something happen. I really put Josh and Lamar kind of like in an Aaron Rodgers standpoint, and I can trust them to kind of Superman some shit and get me 11 wins. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the matchup, they can beat somebody in the playoffs and get me to the. Because think about how many times we see Aaron Rodgers will non-competitive rosters and shit just to lose 5 NFC Championship games.
Yeah.
Like, that's obvious. And Josh is doing the same shit. you're leading rosters that have no business being in a championship game to the NFC Championship game, and you're losing, rightfully
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna outgun Mahomes with
Yeah.
no damn Amari Cooper and
They didn't deserve to
Deion
make it to
Quinn,
the Super Bowl with that personnel.
right?
Yeah. I
Right,
agree with that.
because even with so right they you got to do more, man.
Well,
You
I
got to
think
do
they
more.
thought I think that's what they was trying to do with Keon though. I think
Mm.
that time from April till about probably about September. Maybe it usually goes from April into April to the first week of regular season. They push I like to call it the rookie like shucking and jive moment. Like you got to go out there and sell your personality to fans cuz right
Yeah.
now they want to see jersey numbers. They want to see jersey sales. They want to see like everybody's trying to see, okay, we think we made the right investment on you on the field. What about off the field? Off the field is branding. Do you fit the brand and what we getting into? I thought Keon had a strong showing early in last off season after the draft just because they kept him in the media spotlight. They kept him like the whole goofy comments, I'm young, I don't really know nothing, but I like being here.
Mm.
But I think when he got to playing on field and Purdy, I mean not Purdy, and Josh was doing fucking I think Josh this year, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. I think Josh truly thought he was going to the Super Bowl this year. And I think that because of how I saw him play. Every time I saw Josh play, I'm like, dog, you putting your fucking like Josh was putting his life on the line, bro. I'm talking about like, and it wasn't even games you had to win for real. He just I can't lose. I need the home field advantage. I gotta have him come to Buffalo. When he didn't get that, I think he kind of knew. I think he walked into that Chiefs game thinking it's a possibility I'll walk out of here with a W, but I think even he knew he wasn't winning that shit. And I think that's demoralizing for somebody when you're going into the next season because I don't think they give him no help this year. I don't think it comes to a situation where it's like, damn, you was missing this. Okay, let's go plug the gap because they let their running back walk. So I know they got to reach into the draft to grab a
Who they
young.
who they let go?
I thought it was what's his last name? It's not Singletary. Who the fuck is they running back? They just said they wasn't gonna sign him or something like that. Or they letting him go. Let me look this up real quick. Bills running back. Is it Cook? Yeah, James Cook. They try not to pay Cook.
So yeah, they not trying to
Oh, but he'll
pay
play.
him.
He'll
Yeah,
play this year. My bad.
he betting on himself to
That's
play this
that's
last year.
yeah. I would never do that. But
They say he demanding 15 mil a year, so that's probably why they don't want to pay him. But
I'm
to
thinking about
speak,
it. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
don't they have Frank Gore Jr.?
Yeah, they got Frank Gore, but
But
they need another. They need a tandem. They usually do running back by
yeah,
committee. So
yeah.
I'm just saying that type
Mhm.
of when a running back is having that conversation over 15 a year, it's because your quarterback is not fighting for you. Really,
Yeah.
nobody's fighting for you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you got to think T Higgins don't get that contract if you don't know if Joe Burrow don't have a relationship with him. You know what I'm saying? It just don't make sense from no standpoint to pay T
This
Higgins and Jamar. You know what I'm saying?
he yeah, that's kind of outrageous for him to ask for 15 mil because even Barkley when he signed 4 years 44 mil, that's like an average of like 10 to 12 mil
Yeah,
average.
yeah,
And that was last year. And I understand the salary cap shot up this year, but man, you damn near demanding a higher per year average than what Josh Jacobs and
I know.
Saquon demanded. So and this is not even a good free agency class when it comes to running backs because the only running back that really got paid money this offseason was Aaron Jones, and that was
Mm-hmm.
just a 2 year extension.
Mm-hmm.
But uh Jordan Mason, and a couple other running backs, man, they signed a lot of 1 year deals. So yeah, this wasn't even an off season for this man to even demand that type of money. But I really thought about something, man. And when you think about it, they have only 4 ways they can keep everybody fed when you think about it, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously only one person could win a ring. Only one quarterback can win a ring, right? So what's next? So if you reward one quarterback with the ring, you have to reward another quarterback with what? The MVP.
Mm-hmm.
So if you giving one person the ring, one person the MVP, what's coming next? The third person, he 1000% is going to be wanting to get the record-setting contract in the offseason. That's how they keep everybody fed. Every year, one person gonna get the ring, one person get the MVP, and there's always gonna be some other mid-tier quarterback kind of like resetting the money. So let me give you
Purdy never get his ring then. You don't think?
it's a possibility he may get it. I'm just saying like on a per year type situation because they not gonna give the same quarterback the ring, the MVP, and the money all in one season. You gotta spread it out. You gotta keep everybody fed. So look at Josh. He had to lay down against Mahomes this year once again. But what was the one thing he was able to take home this year? His first league MVP. That's kind of like how they had Lamar fed for like the last 5 years. They sprinkled in 2 MVPs and they gave him a historic contract in the middle of the process. That's how they do it. But this offseason, well, this season that just passed, Lamar didn't get an MVP. He didn't get no money. He didn't get no ring. But what did he do? He put up numbers that were in the same category as Aaron Rodgers, like I just told
numbers.
you. Yeah. Right. So it's the ring, the MVP, the money, or the historic numbers and or stats. That's how they keep everybody fed. Because you not if you Derek Carr and you Kirk Cousins, you're not getting a ring. You're not getting MVPs. You're not setting records. But what's the one thing they're gonna give you to keep you satisfied?
Some money.
A new contract extension. That's how they keep everybody fed. Because they know if Mahomes is sitting up bringing home 5 damn rings, constantly having Super Bowl appearances, what the tier 2 and tier 3 guys gonna get? Just like Drew Brees, just like Aaron Rodgers. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, you got your 1 ring. But what's the one thing we're gonna do to keep you satisfied, keep your legacy alive throughout your tenure? We're gonna give your ass 4 MVPs.
Literally.
Drew Brees.
Hold that for a
Right.
minute.
Right, Drew Brees. You got your 1 ring, but what we gonna give you? We gonna give your ass monster contracts and we gonna make your ass the stat machine. Why do you think every time you turn on Monday Night Football, Drew Brees was breaking a record?
It's so true.
I'm trying to tell you, that's how they that's the bracket on how they keep all this shit split up and even. That's the Mahomes. He's not getting a record-setting money. He signed that 1 10-year gap, and you got to play the entirety of that contract. So he's not the highest paid. You're not the highest paid when every 4 years Lamar is coming back to the negotiation table and re-upping his money. Mahomes is not the highest paid. Mahomes is not bringing home all the MVPs. He's not breaking all the stats, but he is bringing home the rings and the Super Bowl appearances.
Keeping them happy.
Right.
Keeping them happy.
That's how it go, man.
So what you think about I'm just curious about this because I mean, you know how I feel about Herbert, but what you think about Herbert right now? With him being with Harbaugh.
What I'm being with Harbaugh is I think it'll be hard pressed for us to assume he won't at the very least get to a conference championship game in the near future. I would be very surprised if the Chargers aren't in the AFC championship game in the near future. The main thing that's going to, I feel like if he don't do something in the next 6 years, the obvious thing for us to look back at and say is, all right, you in the same division as Andy Reid and Mahomes. I feel like that'll kind of be like the easy excuse for her. But if you don't pan out to be anything, it'll be, man, and they intentionally put his ass with the Chargers because that was his childhood team.
That was his
team,
yeah.
So,
and that Bo Nix situation is growing, bro. That shit growing, and that's right there.
All right. I remember a old school at my job, man. I remember I was telling him, I was like, man, even though he ain't got the offensive personnel around him, I was like, watch what Sean Payton do with Bo Nix. I was like, man, just so I'm actually happy that dude he turned heads and did what he did last year. And Sean Payton could really get some players over there in terms of because I know how Sean Payton wants to build his offense. One thing about Sean Payton, he want 2 good running backs. All his whole tenure with the Saints. It don't matter if it was Reggie Bush and Pierre Thomas, Mark Ingram and Darren Sproles, Kamara and Ingram. It don't matter. He likes a 2-back tandem always. Courtland Sutton, he kind of gonna play that big body, Marcus Coast and Mike Thomas role. You know Sean Payton want a tight end, so he got to get him a tight end, and he wants some type of burner as his wide receiver too. That's how Sean Payton wants his offense operated, and I can tell he don't really have it in place the way he
He
wants
need
to.
about 2 more years.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he about 1 or 2 drafts away
Yep.
from really having Bo Nix what he really wanted.
Yep. Shit, if Bo can still, I mean, this season you got to be thinking, if I'm in that division, I got to be thinking win my home game against Mahomes. Might be the only one I get.
Right.
So win that home game.
And they played them competitive this past season in both games.
So it ain't impossible for it to happen. I just don't think it's gonna happen in Arrowhead. So to me, it's like, okay, if you got to play him, I still want to get my Mahomes games out the way early because I think the league likes seeing the league allows Mahomes to stumble. From what I've seen, when the blemishes are early in the season, and if it's against, and I hate to say it, but they never let his ass lose to nobody with. It almost seemed like Mahomes cannot face an opponent that he either can't face again. I'm saying with a loss. He can't lose to this opponent in the regular season if he can't face him again and beat him that same year. That's damn near kind of the vibe I'm getting from the league when it comes to Mahomes because even the losses he does have throughout the season,
that is true.
It almost seemed like if he can't get the payback, he can't lose it.
Think about it like this.
Go ahead.
If I'm really thinking about it, all right, his first year starting was 2018. I remember like it was yesterday. They started off like 5-0.
Yep.
The Patriots were 5-0, and they played on Sunday Night Football. They obviously met up again in the championship game when D4 was lined up off sides.
Yep.
They won it all in 2019. 2020, they lost. And he played Brady in the regular season and the Super Bowl once again. 2021, he lost to the Bengals and then lost to them again in the AFC Championship game. That's how the Bengals got to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they definitely do that. And if Mahomes does lose to somebody in the regular season, they gonna always make sure his record is good enough to the point where he can at least host the playoff game in KC.
Exactly.
Because he lost to Josh Allen, but they made sure the Chiefs' record made it to where Buffalo had to travel to KC
and play him again, so he can get his rematch on his terms.
Right.
I'm looking at their record right now, brother. The only 2 losses they had last year was Denver and Buffalo. And Denver was that Week 17 game, so it wasn't even like they was fighting for that.
Yeah, they poured all these starters that game for sure. So, yeah, they know it. All this Mahomes' whole career look manufactured.
I'm telling you, bro, top to bottom. I'm like, damn. At least with Brady, you had the Belichick. It's weird too because what I'm seeing now is like Andy don't get no type of like. There ain't no debate with Andy and Mahomes like it was with Bill and Brady. Like we was having real conversations pre-retirement, post-retirement. Could Brady have done this without Bill? Could Bill have done this without Brady? And I'm not saying it ain't gonna be that time for Andy and Pat, maybe years down the line. But I feel like the fact that people aren't, you can tell it's manufactured because we're not even having a real conversation about Andy, bruh. And I feel like that's the real key is like we sit here talking about Mike Tomlin. We can have a conversation about that for 30 minutes because you look at the impact Mike has had on Pittsburgh just by being in that spot for so long. You can just see the years fly by. Why the hell are we not talking about nothing that got to do with Andy and what he like? Let me ask you this: what is Andy's personnel characteristically? How you just kind of went down with Sean Payton? Can you give me that for Andy? Outside of no, I ain't gonna limit you. Just can you give me something for Andy's side of the role of the success in Kansas?
So one thing about Andy is, because the thing is about Andy, everything he's doing in KC, we seen him do it in Philly for about a good 12 years. We seen him pull every ounce of potential out of McNabb, Kevin Cobb, Vic, etc. And then you see him, like I said, let Alex Smith keep a damn starting job for about a good 5 years just to lose in the second round. Andy is also known as one of the more brilliant offensive minds since he's been in the league. He kind of came from under that Mike Holmgren tree. So we know the man schematically. What he's going to do is he's going to put speed on the field, and he's going to have run like an air raid offense. That's what we know about Andy. Also, in terms of his personality, just based on what I hear from players like Vic, LaShawn McCoy, Tyreek, they always say Andy is kind of like a loving person. He is that one coach. He kind of you can make an argument that he's kind of like Tomlin, but the thing is with Tomlin is Tomlin Tomlin would bet on you straight out of college when it's like a narrative already around you. Meanwhile, Andy, he'll give you a second shot after you already fucked up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of like he brought back Kareem Hunt after the Kareem Hunt situation after he first got released.
Yeah.
He took a chance on Tyreek after. I remember in 2019 they say Tyreek Hill broke his son's arm or some shit. That's why they drafted McCole Hardman as his replacement because they didn't know if Tyreek was going to come back. So
Juju, you took a chance on Juju too.
Yeah, Juju. You take a chance on players like Vic. I mean, you brought him and Deshaun Jackson. He told the front like take a chance, draft these type of dudes. So that's definitely Andy's personality, man. The players that more coaches wouldn't give a second chance to, Andy the one who put his arm around them and get the most out of them. Tomlin is that same way, but like I said, Tomlin, he won't give you a chance after you fuck up. He'll kind of take on that role, or I keep him in line. I could kind of like make it to where he don't spiral out of control. If he got an attitude problem, I could work with
like
that. But
yeah.
So, but they the only coaches that I really know how to manage personalities like that.
Damn, I'm thinking about because there was a comment you made when you were saying Mahomes shit was manufactured. It was something else you were saying, but that's what it sparked in me was that Andy thing. Yeah, so I'm just looking at it from a standpoint of, I know we don't really want to talk about too much of the behind the scenes stuff because it's not too much sourcing that we can bring that I feel like would make people comfortable as of yet at this point right now. But the behind the scenes thing with Andy and Mahomes, to me, first thing, I'm gonna be real with you, bro. When I first saw the State Farm commercial where Andy was on it with him and Travis, I really thought I thought to myself, okay, I remember when McNabb was the spokesman for what was that shit, bro? It was the soup, the Campbell's chicken noodle soup or whatever. And I'm not messing it up. That was him, right? That wasn't Jason Campbell. That was McNabb, right? McNabb was the guy.
Oh,
I remember somebody used to have the commercials when we was kids, bro. It would just pop up. It was one. It was one of them.
He definitely had to be.
It had to be McNabb, bro.
Yeah, that shit is ringing a bell. It had to be McNabb.
Hold on, McNabb, Campbell's. Yep, that's it. Okay. I'm just thinking about McNabb, bro. And funny, oddly enough, bro, I had this conversation with my grandmother, bro. This had to have been, was it last? No, it had to be the year before last. Anyways, I'm seeing it and I'm like, so Andy Reid is on a commercial, a State Farm commercial with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And then I'm thinking, the last time I seen something of this nature, but after the McNabb situation, was Baker when he did the commercials with whatever insurance he was doing or whatever, when he was like in the stadium. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the Progressive Stadium.
The Progressive Stadium. And I thought they did that for Baker because they didn't want the Manziel storyline to fall on Baker. Because I remember coming out of college, Baker had they was drawing the same parallel of, young college kid, maybe not mature. He got that, I remember that moment where he did he did something in college. He disrespected somebody's logo. I think it was a Texas game, him when he was at Oklahoma. So I'm just going through the narrative of y'all painting the same situation with Johnny Manziel. But I think what they tried to do with Baker was spin it to where it's like Baker's committed. He committed to the Browns. He ain't like partying. He ain't, you know what I'm saying? And they did that, solidifying it by putting him in the stadium and saying, oh, he never leaves the stadium. You remember that shit? The commercial they was having? I feel like the league, bro, and you got to tell me what you think because I trust your opinion on this, but I feel like the league does a lot of undercover subliminal messaging when it comes to players. And what they'll get you to think of a guy in the way that the media is saying the opposite. So the media is saying Baker Mayfield might be the next Johnny Manziel. But the league is saying Johnny Manziel is a player of his own. But guess what? The Browns still moved on from him. The only chance he got was when he went down there and started working with what's his name in Tampa. And once that happened, you was the one that was like, Baker's gonna have the year. You're the only person I heard prior to that season that he just had that still believed in Baker. I thought it was over with for him. I'm gonna be real with you. I said that to you in the beginning. I was like, Baker ain't gonna do shit. But I don't know what you saw in Baker, but you definitely claimed his success this season. And I think the league damn near, I don't know, bro. It's like they'll find a way to coddle you to give you that second life. They'll find a way to bring you back if need be. And I feel like when I saw the State Farm commercials, I thought of insurance. And I was like, damn, okay, what are y'all really trying to tell me subliminally? Because this could have happened anyway. He could have had a Subway commercial. He could have had any of the partners in the NFL, but they gave it to State Farm. So I'm thinking to myself, what is it? What are you trying to tell me subliminally with now bringing in Travis Kelce, Andy? You know what I'm saying? Looking back on it, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I'm thinking, I'm damn near picking this shit apart, bro, on some like, y'all are damn near telling us this is something that we not gonna get rid of. Because I thought at the end of this year, Travis was gonna walk away. I thought they win the Super Bowl, Travis walks away, he get his last piece, they good. But then I realized Andy and them don't have a go-to. Because they didn't develop Xavier to be a wideout. They developed him to be like a plug-and-play receiver. So until they get their go-to guy, I'm like, damn, Travis can't leave because Travis is what, 32, 33? But for some reason, he the only tight end that's having this Tony Gonzalez like late career resurgence where it's like throughout his whole tenure with the Chiefs, the success has been handled with one quarterback. You get what I'm saying? You're not even seeing a history of Travis without Mahomes. In my mind, I think they was trying to I hate to say it like this, but that Jerry Rice record shit was bothering me, bro. And I don't want to make it sound like it's something deeper than what it is, but him breaking that Jerry Rice record in the playoffs as a tight end, it did make me think like, do you think that situation, I'm gonna tie it into a question because I know I'm just kind of rambling with this, but do you think that situation with him breaking the Jerry Rice record, him not retiring this year, and him having the Taylor Swift situation, all combined into one, do you think the league had any say so on that environment in Kansas City?
The thing is, when it comes to what I saw from him this past offseason, and first I want to touch on the commercials.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first saw Andy Reid and Mahomes on those State Farm commercials, it was like, I think it was the first year they went against Philly. So I think it was the 2022 season. And I remember the year before that, one of my other partners, he had put me on another trend, which is when you normally see players in commercials, especially throughout the season, oftentimes they don't win it. And I thought about that. I thought about when you really think about it, when you really think about the Super Bowl winners, like I seen Aaron Rodgers on State Farm commercials for the last 14 years.
Yep.
I've seen Peyton Manning on all these commercials and shit throughout his career. And when I started piecing together, I'm like, damn, that's making sense. When the players that are actually getting the advertisement money, that are getting the commercial money and shit like that, they're the ones who really don't be victorious in the season. Mahomes and Andy Reid, when I started seeing them through those commercials, I was like, all right, they're going to fall down this year. But they still end up winning it. So,
like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Right. But they do a lot of that predictive program and shit. Did you ever remember? And when it comes to Baker Mayfield, you want to know the real reason on why I still was riding with him this year.
What was that? What did you see?
I'm not sure if you remember, but you can always look this up. In 2019, that was the NFL 100-year anniversary. And I remember before the season started, they did a big NFL commercial.
Yeah, I
They
remember
had
that.
all that. They
Yeah,
had Camara, Breeze, all those
yeah.
dudes in there. At the end of the video, it was like a 2-minute video. At the end of the video, this was in 2019. So this was when Brady was still in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the end of the video, Brady taking his rings off his
Mm-hmm.
hand and
Mm-hmm.
handing them to Baker. I always
Oh,
kept
you
that. I
did
always
say that
kept that
shit.
in
I remember
mind.
you said that shit to me
I
too.
always kept that in mind. I was like, I don't care. I'm not even saying he's gonna win rings like Brady, but I was like, they're programming us and they're
Shit,
foreshadowing
bruh.
something.
You might
Because
be
I'm like, out
right.
of all quarterbacks, why did he take his rings off and hand them to Baker? Baker was the first quarterback in Tampa after Brady
After Brady
left,
left. Damn, bruh. High
and that,
key.
man, you just got to piece it together, man. It's just one big storyline. But that's not
Hey,
a coincidence, though.
that's crazy, bruh, for real. When I'm thinking about it in my head, and now I'm thinking Mike Evans' situation, right? Him him being the guy in Tampa for that long. And usually, you get a Mike Evans, that's in my opinion, that's a Larry Fitzgerald career if he don't win that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So it's like,
right.
okay, you don't really get your receiver to not bite the bait and either leave or get kicked out based on whatever the coach, the GM, whatever. So seeing Mike Evans in that position, and even Godwin, because Godwin been there since he been there since he been drafted, right? He got drafted in like
Yeah, yeah,
2018 maybe, and he been
yeah.
there ever since. So just the
Mhm.
just the personnel they kept in Tampa, I can't lie to you. You might be onto some shit just because why would they?
Right,
Why are you keeping pieces in place so consistently?
right.
Yeah, nah, bro. Yeah. Damn. I'm gonna have to sit on that one.
Yeah, I was riding that for a long time, bro. Because I was like, even when he was in Carolina for an extent, and then he went to the Rams for like 4 games. Then when he signed with Tampa Bay, I'm like, man, this makes perfect sense. I
Yeah.
kept going back to that
Yeah.
video that they put out in 2019. I'm like, it's almost like they knew this man was going to be there 4 years later, almost. Because he
So
signed there in 2023. The video came out in 2019.
you think do you think it's possible that him handing him the rings? Because I'm thinking about symbolically what that messaging could mean. Yeah, we could
Right,
take
right,
it as like, okay, this is the keys to the castle now. This is yours type shit. Or is he saying,
right.
hold these because you're not getting none?
It could mean
You know what I'm
because
saying?
I remember because I remember I was so naive to it back then. I just jumped right on to it, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was saying, "Man, Baker the next Brady, Baker," because this one at this point Mahomes only had one. No, Mahomes. This was the 2019 season, so Mahomes was on zero.
Mahomes
He
was on
was
his year.
right. He was
Yeah.
on his year. So I remember I was saying, I was like, man, this one the Browns when they was drafting good. They got Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
They had Jarvis Landry,
Yeah.
Odell
Jeremiah.
over there,
Yeah.
Njoku, man, Nick Chubb. So I'm
Yeah.
like, man, the front office is building some pieces over there. So I'm like, the only thing is, it would have made perfect sense because I remember right after that season concluded, it was talks on should Baker take a cheaper deal, and I'm like, if Baker takes a cheaper deal they're basically aligning him to kind of have like that Brady type
Mm. Mm-hmm.
relationship
Storyline.
with the front office, like in
Yep.
terms of taking pay cuts, taking less than what's off. Man, it was making perfect sense. But when he got the wrong end of the deal and he got traded for Watson, I'm like, what's next? But somehow you know in Tampa Bay, I'm like, it made perfect sense, man. It came full circle.
That's a good one, bro. That's a good one for real. Because that one is, I think for the people that are seeing it but are not hip to whatever it is they think we talking about, that's a great example to pick your mind at just a little bit, especially with how these seasons go, where they kind of sprinkle, and that's the shit we was talking about with Detroit, bro. That
Yeah,
that whole that whole little play they put on Detroit, and I'm not gonna say just Detroit, they played on the NFL because I
yeah,
almost felt like everybody truly believed they was gonna give Detroit some type of freedom, and I don't know how the hell we got to the situation where Detroit is the NFC favorite, but seeing that coming from last season or the season before last, going into this season, I thought to myself, I was like, why would they ever why would they ever give Detroit a pat on the back? Even just the state of Michigan. Let's just, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking they just won college football championship. So you telling me that they gonna give them the college football championship and they gonna give Detroit their first Super Bowl? And people saying it to me on some like, you a Bears fan, of course but I'm thinking of it like on some real shit. Like, have they built a storyline for Detroit past these last 2 years? Have you seen any type of movement that indicated any success was going to happen? Because people thought when Matt Patricia took over, coming from the Belichick branch, they thought, okay, that was when the Jared Goff move originally was supposed to be like, because I think Patricia brought in Goff, right? Wasn't he the coach that brought in Goff? He didn't bring in Goff.
No,
Dan, he didn't bring in Goff. Dan brought him in. Dan Campbell.
Because Stafford got traded that 2021 season, and he won the Super Bowl that same year. So yeah, that right there was Campbell first year. Campbell first year. So yeah, Campbell first year was he had his hands on Goff. Yeah.
So Patricia was there what, 2 years?
Patricia came there in 2018, so he probably was there for like 3 years.
3 years. He left during that COVID year. Okay. Or after that COVID year, he got fired. Okay, yeah. So just seeing that, I'm like, out of nowhere, I get the head coach situation. I understand you got a coach that y'all feel like y'all can hang your hat on. But the NFL love giving you an early favorite to bet the house on. But it's funny because with the Detroit situation, I think they took a lot of money, bro, in Vegas on Detroit leading up into the that conference championship game simply because for some odd reason, Detroit was still an underdog in a lot of their games on paper. Like, for example, let me pull up they schedule real quick because this was some interesting shit I saw about them just throughout the season where I was like, I don't know, because I think you and me have both kind of took the Detroit shit away. So I wasn't even thinking about it because you had already said no. I had been said no, but it was something in a season record this year that struck me that was like, I don't know. They 2 losses. Okay, cool. They 2 losses was to Buffalo and to Tampa. I thought that shit was weird, bro. I thought the loss to Buffalo, because it was a close game they lost to Josh too. And I kept saying,
that one wasn't surprising. The one that was surprising was like Tampa Bay, because they did lose to Tampa Bay in like the first 3 weeks, right?
yeah, it was week 2. It was week 2.
So, and after that, they was riding hot, and they didn't lose till they got to Buffalo. I knew they was going to lose to Buffalo because Josh Allen needed that win, because what happened was he beat the Chiefs, who was number 1 in the AFC, and he beat the Lions, who were number 1 in the NFC. So that's what solidified his MVP campaign. You beat both number 1s in each conference, because he lost to Lamar head to head. So you had to have something to back your argument, because it was Lamar and Allen who were the 2 for the MVP running ups. If he don't win those 2 games against the Lions and KC, he doesn't have anything to defend his MVP argument. Because you'd have lost to the guy that's running up head up with you, which is Lamar. You lost the head-to-head matchup to Lamar.
Yep.
So I already knew. I remember looking at the schedule. I was like, "Yep, they gonna go in there and they gonna roll over Detroit." I remember I said that, bro.
You think it's weird? I'm looking at the record now. You think it's weird? 3-point losses. 2 teams they lost 3 points back to back. Before that, Buffalo, or 3-point win. Sorry, before they lost the game to Buffalo, Chicago, then Green Bay. 3-point games, field goals.
The Lions were teetering all year long, and the thing is with the Lions was every team that they played, whenever they played a quarterback that can move the pocket and scramble, they didn't have no answers for it. They didn't have. That's why it was so easy for a rookie, Jaden Daniels, to come in and put a 40 burger on them in the playoffs. They cannot defend mobile quarterbacks. Josh put the blueprint out there. We gonna take the Tampa Bay game as an outlier because we know Baker is a pocket quarterback. But one thing about Baker is the Tampa Bay offense was explosive when they did have a healthy Mike Evans, when they did have a healthy Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
So, but there's no secret why why Buffalo and Washington put a 40 burger on their defense. It's no mystery behind it.
Yeah.
They can't defend mobile quarterbacks. Josh kept getting to the outside and killing their defensive ends. That's their Achilles heel. Because once Aiden Hutchinson went down,
it was over with on that line. Yeah.
Like, it's Darius Smith, man. That man not chasing nobody down, man. So that's the Lions, man. And I still think they gonna be beat all the hell coming back next year. The division is only gonna be more competitive. You got Aiden Hutchinson returning from a broken leg. Like he's not about to come back from a broken leg and put up 15 sacks. So
I think this is the year they built a story to get rid of Goff. I feel like this is the
gotta be.
season this is the season where you set up the question marks. You don't think it's Dan Campbell because it can't be Dan Campbell. That nobody's gonna blame Dan. But you're gonna say that Goff regressed because this is what he about 30. Goff is like 31, 30. I thought
He
Goff.
came to he came to the league in 2016.
That's 10 years. Let me see.
He turned 31 in October.
31. So yeah, so he 31. He'd be 32 this year.
No, he's 30. He turned 31 in
Oh, he
October.
turned in 31. Okay, so he hit his 30 mark. Yeah, this is the season. Yeah. This is the season where you got to get him to have questionable moments and you highlight him because he ain't going to win that division. I mean, that's just simple as that. So, and you can't keep him there with Dan because when they start losing, you don't want the blame to go on Dan just yet. Dan can't take the blame to the new quarterback in it. Then it's like, okay, well, what are we looking at? Yada yada yada. But they definitely used whatever points they had in the NFL favor. I think Detroit used that up this last 2 seasons. I think they had a great run for their fan base to get some interest back in it and get some money back in the city because we don't know what the numbers was looking like. It could have been the league just wanted to revive a dying franchise. And I think that go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel like Detroit is good with the money. I don't feel like they ever bad with the money because they own he linked in with Ford, so they got that
Ford, yeah.
Ford money.
Yeah.
So I feel like they always good in terms of that. What I would say is that I don't think it's gonna be as long as you may think before we start hearing the rambles about Dan Campbell because he lost two coordinators. Like he lost Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. So and believe it or not, there's already people out there that was saying that he's a product of his coordinators anyway.
Yeah.
So with them not being there, and with you going 15-2,
Shit.
you don't think like even if you have a 4-game drop off and you win only 11 games or 10 games, man, it's gonna be some ramblers of were you a product of your coordinators?
Yeah.
We gonna hear that because
Yeah.
with offense, it's no secret that was all Ben Johnson.
Yep.
With defense,
Yep.
it's no secret Aaron Glenn got the most out of that defensive squad that he could. So I don't think it's that long because what can we really say Dan Quinn is good at? I mean, from personality, he looked like a fired up guy that can motivate his locker room. I give him that.
Yeah.
But schematically, what has he really shown you?
Shit. I mean, one thing I can say is he's in a division where I think you get a little bit of time though. I think you do. I think the conversation will start, but I think you get the time of he
And
what
you got to go against the coordinator that just left
I
you.
know.
He's in your
I
division
know.
though.
I know.
So
But you know they're gonna give him a game though. They gotta split because they're not gonna let Ben walk out like that. They gotta split. They gotta
for
split a
sure, for
series.
sure, for sure. And you know what I'm saying that I can agree with that. I don't see a sweep going either way. I think they split for sure.
Now you know
Um,
what would put him in some real hot shit is if we went to the conference championship game. If he did some wild shit and took us to the NFC champ game, then you looking at Dan like an imposter. Because Detroit won't be
yeah,
nowhere near it.
yeah,
I
yeah, man.
just looked up I
It's
just looked up their viewership numbers, bro. I went back and so it's saying in 2021 they averaged 17.1 million viewers per game, but it was a decrease from the 18.3 they had in 2020. Now that next season they was the most viewed team in the league at 22.65 million viewers per game, higher than the Dallas Cowboys.
what year was that? Was this this past
2022.
season?
So in 21, they numbers was going down from the previous seasons. 2022,
Gotcha.
they shot right up, highest in the league. I think when the
Yeah, I think
NFL saw that, they had to milk it, bro.
yeah, I think 2021 they were dead last in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna kind of give them some gray area with that because that was like I believe that was the final year of the COVID year, so fans couldn't really pack out stadiums the way they wanted to. So I kind of give them some leeway with that. But other than that, man, yeah, Detroit they could. But what do you think is? What would you say is there? Do they even have an immediate replacement for a quarterback?
Yeah, they could. You talking about like if they was to reach outside of this year, right?
Right. So going into 2026, um, if they wanted to go forward with a new option, what do you think they have something? Because they have Hendon Hooker, right? But I don't know if they're
They got
losing.
Hendon Hooker, but I think what's gonna happen is this is my best guess. Goff somehow has a weird exit. I think it's gonna either be an injury or he's just gonna have a horrible ass season. It's gonna be something. They gotta get rid of him. They're gonna bring in a vet. I think the vet in this case is gonna end up being, if I'm seeing Dan Campbell for what I'm seeing him as, I think Dan is trying to follow this idea that he is a coach's coach. Like through and through, you can trust Dan Campbell to have some type of good rapport with the players, loved by the fan base, and good with the media. So on that level, you don't got to worry about Dan too much. I think Detroit keep him almost if they can, like how they did Caldwell. I think they want to replace for that Caldwell tenure where you got somebody that you don't have to keep predicting, where you might end up. So I think he go and get, and you gonna think this is crazy, but I think he go get a Derek Carr next year, plug the gap for a season or two, and then if they feel like they ready with Hendon, they'll grab Hendon, or Detroit be the team to grab Archie. I'm gonna put that out there just because I feel like our opinions on Archie have been too obvious so far, and I knew mine was obvious because Dallas and the Texas connection. I still think it's possible, but I don't think Dallas gets him. I'm hearing you with the Saints with his grandfather. I'm hearing that storyline pieced together. I definitely think that'll work.
I just
But
said that one is like an obvious. I don't really have much to back that take right there. Um, and the thing is with that, what year is Archie like
next
expected
year,
to come into the league? So
this is last year.
I so I was just looking at Dak's contract.
Mm-hmm.
Dak is owed a guaranteed 60 mil this year and a guaranteed 78 next year.
Shit.
So that's why it's just like with Dallas, man. It's just like it's so hard for me because I know they can move off of contracts if they want to, but with a player like that, do you even want to send that dude to a place like Dallas when they're gonna be negative 60 mil in the whole salary cap? This man first 4 years of his rookie contract. Do you really want to send little Archie to a situation like that?
Yeah, cause CD probably
Meanwhile,
leave this year, don't he?
right,
CD probably
and that
walk.
they gave CD and Dak both new contracts that started last year, like right before the season tipped off. They gave both of them fresh deals.
Mm.
Then both of them magically suffered injuries midway through the year, and that's how I know you get that money to lose. You have an option: sit out with an injury or eat these losses.
Yeah.
That's you don't
Yeah.
get paid to win. I
Yep.
always tell people that. Like so with the
That's a good point,
Bengals,
bro.
with y'all giving Joe Burrow 200 mil, giving T Higgins 100 mil, and you giving Chase 150,
Yep.
you're not paid that money to win. I keep telling people that. You don't get paid to win. You get paid to stay there and lose. You are literally a placeholder. Like you keep saying, your situation. Tua, Trevor Lawrence, man, them teams ain't had quarterbacks since we've been on this
Shit.
earth.
I mean, the fact that you mentioned Trevor, and bruh, I kept him out this whole convo because I forgot about him. Thank you for mentioning this motherfucker. What is a situation with Jacksonville in the grand scheme of the league? Because I've been saying they the first team to sell. That's what I've been. I'm just thinking because it ain't no reviving that franchise. I think the owner, being who the owner is, I think his last name is Shaw. Shaw's son. I forgot his first name. I used to know his name. And then that Doug Peterson hiring, bro. I'm telling you, like Jacksonville is. If they not the first London team, they the first Mexico team. I'm sorry, bro. It's just got to happen at a certain point. I don't know how it'll work logistically in the league, but and I've been saying that for a minute. I don't really know your opinion too much on it, but what do you think about the Jacksonville situation, bro?
I remember back in like 2019. This wasn't even my idea, but someone brought it to me. That's when I first got introduced to the London idea because I think the NFL they first started traveling teams out to go play in London in like 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really run the numbers since 2015 to now, no team have played more international games than the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And I always ask myself, why them?
Yep.
like why them? Why the team that's doing absolutely nothing is getting flew out the country, play more games than anybody else? So that right there is like, I think they definitely setting the stage and trying to get them boys familiar out there in London, so they can build land out there, have them play from there. But you know the NFL, they want an international team out this country.
Out this country for
If
sure.
if because you gotta imagine, NBA eating good with the Toronto Raptors.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
like you know what I'm saying,
And
covering
they
the
want to
entire
do it
country.
too. I think they want to go outside the country too if they can. Well, I ain't gonna say if they can. They got to deal with the leagues though. It's so many leagues in basketball. It's hard for them to
Yeah,
expand that way.
yeah, they keeping it while trying to keep it American football. They're trying to move
Mm-hmm.
American football out of America.
Mm-hmm.
I know that for sure. I know that for sure. They got these dudes playing in Brazil and all type of shit now, man. On terrible
Jacksonville,
fields.
Jacksonville only been in the league since '95. Is there a team younger than that?
Yeah, the Ravens. The
The
Ravens came in
Ravens.
like
The
98.
Ravens. The Ravens. Okay, cool. So Ravens have had success since they, obviously since they had much success for them to be that young. Jacksonville, on the other hand, bro, I'm looking at this shit. They have a playoff record. Look, okay, let me tell you this. They win-loss record is 202 to 282. Their playoff record is 8-8. They have no Super Bowl appearances. They have never won a championship. Their all-time passing leader is Mark Brunell at 25,000 yards. The all-time rushing leader is Fred Taylor at 11,000
Damn.
yards. They
I would have
all-time.
thought.
Go ahead.
I
You
was
saw
gonna. I
Maurice
was,
Jones-Drew?
yeah.
Yeah, I would thought so too. Yeah. Uh, all-time receiving leader Jimmy Smith, 12,000 yards. All-time scoring leader Josh Scobie, that's their kicker. I'm guessing 1,000 points. And they winningest coach is Jack Del Rio, bro, at 68 wins, 71 losses.
Yeah, bro. I'm 25. The only four names that I know associated with that franchise is Del Rio,
Yep.
Calais Campbell,
Yep.
Maurice Jones-Drew,
Yep.
Brunell.
They had a
I think
black
his name
quarterback. They had a black quarterback, remember? Back in the day?
Charles Garrard. I think that's what his name was.
Was that him?
I think his last name was Garrard.
Did Dante Culpepper ever play for the Jaguars? That ever happened?
Let me see.
Let me see something. I could have swore they had I thought his number was 9. The black quarterback I'm talking about, you might be right.
David Garrard. That's his name.
That's his name? Okay.
David Garrard. Yeah, I think that's what his name is.
Yeah, this shit, they gotta sell this shit. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, if there's any motivation, because what division is that? That's the AFC South. That's Jaguars, Colts, Texans,
So
and
a lot of damn near every team in their league,
and
every
Titans.
team in their division is kind of like don't really have a lot of historic significance because we know all the Colts' success came from their tenure with Peyton.
Yep.
We know Houston ain't won shit.
Nope.
The Titans, I mean, do they even have one in franchise history?
Shit, let's look at the Titans real quick while I'm on it.
I doubt the Titans have one, man.
The Titans is the youngest team by name because 99 is when they Tennessee Titans became a thing. 98, if you're saying is the Ravens, but 99 they got their name Tennessee Titans. They franchise is older, but the name them being in Tennessee. So they got one Super Bowl appearance that they lost. They got 2 championships. Warren Moon is their all-time passing leader. Eddie George. So they got Hall of Famers at both the all-time passing leaders and all-time rushing leader. Receiving leader, Ernest Givens, I don't know who the fuck that is. All-time scoring leader, Al Del Greco. But Jeff Fisher is still their winningest coach, which makes sense though.
Was he there doing the greatest show on turf?
No, because that's when he was with St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't his first season, so he must have been
No, I'm tripping. I'm confusing the Rams with the Titans. My
Yeah,
fault.
yeah,
My
yeah.
fault.
But he was
Okay.
there. He was there with the greatest show on earth, on turf. I mean,
Okay. Okay.
and they got a playoff record of 17-23. So
That's crazy. If anything, he crossed over. He pulled the damn.
Andy Reid, he pulled a Reid.
No, he pulled a Ben Johnson slick because Jeff Fisher, his first 3 years as a coach was with Houston, and then he moved over in division and then went to Tennessee,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, bet.
and then he went to St. Louis in 2012. Yeah, he was in Tennessee for a good 14, 15 years, man. Before he finally went to Tennessee.
Shit, if they did sell this team and move it overseas or something like that, you think they could get away with doing it in Europe, or it'd have to be like Mexico, South America? I'm thinking about traveling because that'd be
I think
unfair for they whole. I mean, I don't
I
know.
think I think Mexico would probably because geographically Mexico is closer to the AFC South, right? It's
Yep,
closer to
it's right there.
Houston and Tennessee and all that shit right there. So I think that'll make more sense than as opposed to you sending these dudes to London and Brazil and a whole bunch
Yeah,
of other shit.
yeah.
So um, I think geographically that'll make the most sense of sending them to Mexico, but it's not gonna. They not gonna last in Jacksonville at all, man. You got all these teams in Florida. Do the Buccaneers still have the worst win percentage in the league? Because they
Let's see.
did for a long time. They did for a long time. They had the worst win percentage in sports in general, I believe. It's probably changed around the last 4 years.
Tampa Bay still got it.
See, so they trash. The Dolphins ain't did shit since the 70s with Marino.
Yep.
And you got the Jaguars being the Jaguars. So you got three bad football teams in the state of Florida.
Shit. Well, at least with I'll say this: Trevor Lawrence being in Jacksonville definitely brought them maybe 5 more years before whatever move has to happen. I don't think they make a move to
Yeah.
after the Olympics. I think flag football had its first year in the Olympics this past one. We get the Olympics in LA in 2028. So I think they don't make a I don't think the NFL does anything until after the Olympics moves. Because that would be right on brand with them trying to expand it internationally. You get your first international team. Maybe they do something with the flag football situation where it's like maybe they never gonna get NFL players, but I could see them being like whoever wins that year somehow magically got an NFL contract, like the best player on the team ends up playing. Just some I could see some weird shit like that happening so they could segue it into and we got this new team in Mexico. I could see that definitely happening. But
Do you think?
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think that opens the door for? Because I remember you brought this up as an idea of them kind of using the UFL league. It's kind of like a G league. It's like a upbringing, kind of like how the NBA used the G League to usher in um, talent and kind of like promote within and give guys the opportunity to just elevate and just come straight to the NBA. Maybe the UFL could kind of partner up and like contractually come to an agreement to the point to where the UFL could be used as a G League league to upbring talent instead of solely depending on collegiate talent to come into the league. That's just something
You a
I had
thousand
thought about.
percent right, but I'm having second thoughts already. And the reason I'm having second thoughts is because they've been media silenced, at least this year. Like I'm gonna be real with you. I was looking forward to it when I told you. I was like, damn, I want to see. I was really thinking about money. I was thinking about like prospects, all that shit. What was gonna happen with the UFL? But now I'm realizing I have not heard a fucking thing, bro. And they season started like 3 weeks ago. They in like week 4 of their season or week 3 of their season. And I'm talking about I get on Instagram, I don't get my little ESPN update on this. I don't get no. It's like we supposed to imagine that football is being played, but there literally is no storyline, narrative, nothing. And I don't think you can have a league anywhere near the NFL if you don't have no storyline. And I think the thing about college is that look at Archie's situation, bro. Like look at Shador. That's the NFL profiting off of their own success. Like
Yeah.
Like you let Dion be Dion, and now you get Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter because you and that's literally an investment, bro. People don't see it that way, but it's like, what do we think happens when these players are kind of muffled? Like you don't get a if Dion can't be Dion, obviously you don't get a Shador Sanders. But let's take it a step further. Frank Gore's situation is a player that's like you know he put his time in the league. I mean, just a fucking workhorse as a player. Never heard no
Yeah.
complaints out of him. He did what he had to do. Now his son is playing. His son is getting no notoriety for that, and he's getting no incentive on the work his father put in. It's almost like he got passed the baton, but nobody gave a fuck, to be real with you. Nobody kind of cared.
Um,
I feel like the same thing happened with Marvin Harrison, where Marvin Harrison got that situation where, okay, you put in your time with oh, speaking of that, bro, I just thought of some shit. What if Archie gets drafted to Arizona, Kyler Murray get dealt out this year? He got Marvin Harrison playing with Archie Manning, the Manning to Harrison connection. That's some
mm,
shit, dog. It just came to me out of nowhere type shit, dog. It just came to me. Storyline wise, come on now. I feel like that shit
mm.
might be a situation where Seattle gonna have an off year. The Rams, McVay can have a bounce back season with Stafford, and Puka gonna be in that situation where he can finally eat without Cup or without Cup being there. They probably draft somebody too. Kyron's still on his contract. This would be a good time for the Rams or the 49ers to take that division. Arizona gets shifted to the bottom of the division. And then you bring in a new quarterback with the top 3 pick. Kyler Murray, let's say Kyler Murray fuck around and get injured one more time, just for the fun of it.
And he did. I did just see a report that came out. I think it was yesterday. It said Kyler Murray stated that he want to run a little bit more this season.
It's writing itself,
So
bro. It's writing itself. Marvin Harrison had 800 yards right now, I think, this season. So he didn't even touch 1K.
if
Um,
if 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 that, I think
you think it was less than 800? It might have been like 600 then, something like that.
he had the same exact season as his dad rookie year. It was like literally identical, man.
I can't believe that. Hold on,
Let me
let me
let
do
me.
some Google's type shit. Ain't no way the league did that.
Where is it at, bro? I couldn't believe it when I saw this shit. Um, bro, where is that shit, man? Here it goes. So yeah, he had the same exact year. So rookie season, Marvin Harrison and Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Sr. had 118 targets. Junior had 116. Marvin Harrison Sr. had 64 receptions. Junior had 62 receptions. Marvin Harrison Sr. had 836 yards. Junior had 885 yards. They both had 8 TDs. They both averaged 52 yards per game. They both lost one fumble. Like they seasons were like literally side by side identical. From targets to receptions to yards to TDs to averages per game, everything was literally the same.
Let me. What do you think about this? I just googled this shit based off of what you just said. 1996 is Marvin Harrison Senior's first year in the league. 1996, the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts was Jim Harbaugh.
Wow.
That shit is it, hey, bruh. Look, I'm gonna put it to you like this. If we seeing this, it's the obvious play. But it's something beneath this though. It's something that we not seeing
Yeah.
beneath this. Cause I'm about to look up the 97 year.
Because in '98, that was Peyton Manning rookie year,
That's
right?
Peyton Manning rookie year. So he played 2 years. He played 2 years under a different quarterback, and then he got a rookie quarterback his third year. Oh, shit. So then Archie don't. I'm buying this, bro. I'm buying it. I'm buying the Arizona trade. I mean the Arizona landing spot. I'm buying it more than Dallas because there's no history that he got to overtake in Arizona. He can build history in Arizona, and I think that's important too because a lot of quarterbacks get fucked up with the franchise history. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking if they give Archie Arizona, That
And
means
the best quarterback in the history was what, Kurt Warner,
Kurt
right?
Warner. So then Matthew go have his last season. Let's say his last season is Archie's first season there in the league. That's his last season. So end of that season, Archie go to his second year. Stafford's out. Seattle still don't have a quarterback right now. Let's say they don't get that quarterback situation fixed. Then you got who's left? Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy just get paid. He on his second year of his 50 million a year contract. So like what you just said, he got to sit down. That would open up the division to the Cardinals. If if Seattle don't have no success with a new head coach.
Yeah, but the one thing the NFL is trying to do is they're trying to balance out these divisions and kind of get those bottom teams to kind of
Mm-hmm.
have something to root for. Because even if you look at the NFC East, with the Eagles winning that Super Bowl now, every team in the NFC East now has two or more now.
They on
So
even field.
they right, and they made sure they balanced everything out. So seeing they you can it's the Cardinals' turn, man. The Cardinals ain't won a playoff game since like '09.
And they ain't been in
No,
one
no,
since
no, no,
what?
no,
They
no,
ain't been in a playoff game
no.
since 18,
It
17.
wasn't '09. It wasn't '09. The last time they won was 2015. That's when they had Carson Palmer. That's the year Cam Newton went to the Super Bowl. That was their last real playoff run.
So
But the
Kyler did
last
what?
time,
Kyler had one playoff game and he lost?
yeah, he lost against Stafford. That was when Stafford won his first playoff game.
Mm,
That's when Stafford won a Super Bowl.
mm.
So they had to give it to somebody. So long term, you want Stafford and the Rams to get that win. That way you can at least let the Rams recoup that money that they lost building that damn stadium out there in LA.
Mm.
So it made that come full circle.
What if he go to Colts? Jim
Who,
Harbaugh.
Archie?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like the not the Colts, my bad. The what if he go shit, he could go Colts though, bro. AR would be on his they'd have to pay him that year. They have to get ready to pay him. Because he came in what a year ago? This was just his second
I,
year. This is his third year.
I haven't heard anything tying them to. I mean, this is the same dude that they benched last year. So I haven't heard any ramblers about them willing to tie long term money to Richardson.
And they still got
That
an O
just be
line. They got an O line right now. It ain't
yeah.
horrible, but they got an O line.
Yeah, they got an old line. You got Jonathan Taylor, Mike Pittman.
Mike
You
Pittman.
still got good two drafts to bring in some young personnel. They're not paying nobody, so you got money to splurge. So um we can almost down and look at that like a Washington situation. You know what I mean? Like looking at it, Washington they just had one good receiver, which was McLaurin.
McLaurin, yep.
They had, you know what I'm saying, O line. They also had a lot of money that they knew they could spend because
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have that money allocated to
Mm-hmm.
anyone. And you know, all it takes is a few trades for a team to show that they're serious. I mean, I don't know what. Didn't they pull off that Marshawn Lattimore trade?
Yep. Yep.
Then a couple of months later, when they got Debo, like so, man, it just take a few months and a roster could just go from here to there. All it takes is a few trades.
But Archie, what 6'3"? He ain't. I'm trying to think. He ain't little, so they ain't got a. What is he? Arch Manning, not Archie. Arch is 6'4". He's 6'4". Mm.
Yeah, he like one of those tall built quarterback, kind of like a Trevor Lawrence prototype. He's slightly not as tall as Trevor.
But he more athletic than Trevor.
Yeah,
It's got to be Arizona, bro. It's either, and the reason I'm saying this is because I keep thinking about Matthew Stafford, and I keep thinking about how important it is for McVay to have landed Matthew Stafford, and how much sense it made for both points in their career where McVay is trying to prove himself. Matthew's also trying to prove himself, but he on the back end. So then you give him the ring with Matthew, and you build up McVay's record because then he sit for a little bit ringless.
yeah.
Give him Archie. Archie sit maybe 2-3 years. Maybe that fourth year he get the reward, or he get over that whatever the situation is. I think it's damn near gotta be Arizona, bruh. The division needs it because Seattle not gonna have a top 5 pick, arguably over the next 2 seasons, just because I don't think the situation. Shit, I don't know no more.
It because they offense, man, and they offense is not. Here's the thing about Seattle. Okay, we know they got Kenan Murray as their running back. They got Sam Darnold as the quarterback now. All right. In terms of receivers,
Smith and Jigba.
you got Smith and Jigba. You brought in Cooper Kupp, who is beat all the hell right now, and they got somebody else.
They let go of Lockett, right? Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
they let go.
Lockett.
Yeah.
Is it Valdez Scantling?
They let go of Metcalf. They got
Yeah. So that's their three receivers. They got Valdez Scantling, Kupp, and Smith and Jigba.
Shit.
And you got Sam Donald throwing you the ball.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but that's 6 wins though.
Let me see what their opponents are.
That's out of a top 5 pick. You push them because remember you thinking that this year the team that needs a quarterback. Okay, this is how I'm looking at it. The NFL is low key playing fake. I feel like a lot of teams need quarterbacks, but what they did is they did plug and plays for like half the league that needed a quarterback. So half of them is out of contention to draft. So you think Vegas was a favorite to get a quarterback this season? I don't think Vegas goes in the draft to get a quarterback first round. So if Vegas don't go into it first round this year, then they get somebody third, fourth round that they don't really believe in. So they're gonna be front runners for Archie, but Archie not going to Vegas. I know that for a fact. If it comes down to it, I'm thinking the NFC. Remember what we were saying, the AFC is too loaded. Quarterbacks can't go to the AFC right now. It's got to be a damn near a halt on the incoming talent. And I think that's why the Steelers can't reach into the drafts. And they have to go the Aaron Rodgers route, I think is what they're going to do. Because I think right now the league is damn near putting a cap on how much talent can be in the quarterback position on the AFC. So it has to be NFC if it's Archie. He the new storyline. It's got to be NFC. Both his his uncle played in the AFC. His other uncle played in the NFC. His dad played in the NFC. I think he go back to the NFC, bro. And I think it's Cardinals, Colts, or Cowboys. I think it has to be that. I'm thinking about it realistically. It has to be one of them 3. Nobody else can take that quarterback and not kill him first year. Those are all safe spots for him to be in realistically. O-line help might be needed in Arizona. You don't need O-line help in Dallas, and you don't need O-line help in
I think this will be a lot easier. So in the top 10, all right, let's do this. Top 10 draft spots for this season. So Tennessee going number 1. You think they get their QB a choice? Or they take Travis? Because the top 3 spots right now, Tennessee 1, Cleveland 2, Giants 3. All 3 of them could go the quarterback route if they choose to.
Okay. If I'm Tennessee,
and their coach is what his name is Brian Callahan, I think that's what his name is. So he is an offensive minded coach.
But who's their wideouts, bro? Who are they wideouts?
Their wideouts is I think they still got Treylon Burks. I mean, they ain't really got much offensive weapons, but just like we seen with the Broncos, I said the same thing. If you have an offensive play caller, I just want to see the quarterback grow. The same way we seen Bo Nix grow. We outside of Cortland Sutton, who do we really remember Bo Nix throwing the ball to? So, like I said, I don't need you to go out there and be Burrow or Mahomes in just your first 17 years of your career. But I do need to at least see, number one, do you have a coach week to week that's schematically opening up things? Are you progressing when it comes to knowing how to read a field, know how to read the disguised blitzes and disguised defensive coverages? That's just what I need to see because the man, what his name is? Will Levis gave away like 3 wins. Literally. He gave away 3 wins. Like, I'm not even joking. So you bring in
you're
right. So, and at least Tennessee, at least their defense was playing competitive the first 7 weeks. But man, like,
wait, so Will what Levis, quarterback though? Cam? You think Cam over Shador?
Cam, Shador. I think they literally take their chance on somebody. even if they don't pick a quarterback, then you got Cleveland. You think Cleveland not gonna draft the quarterback?
Cleveland got to
Because
draft
right
the
now,
quarterback.
they got Watson tied to money, and they just signed Flacco, who like 100 years old.
But
So
Cleveland will take Travis though. I think Cleveland bites on Travis if he's still available. That pick. I
okay,
don't think
so
Cleveland let Travis go past.
gotcha. So we're basically in a area of Tennessee. I think Tennessee takes a quarterback. I could kind of see Cleveland kind of passing on somebody, kind of passing on the quarterback and just going to get Travis. I was going to say that for New England because everybody been saying if Travis could somehow fall to number 4, he's going to New England
He ain't gonna fall to
1,000%.
4 though.
So, but then the Giants, you think Shador goes there still, even after they got Russell Wilson and Winston?
I think Shador. This shit is so complicated for no reason to be real with you. Because I feel like with the Shador thing, it's like I think the Giants want Shador. The only
Okay.
problem with him in New York though is that he trained for the media. So being in New York, you can't have another Daniel Jones. You just can't have a guy that's not willing to live and die. You know what I'm saying? So Eli had that temperament, but he had the name. He had the Manning name. So it was almost like, okay, you gave him the track record of being a Brady killer, so you can't really get too mad at him. Shador's gonna have to build this shit from the bottom up. But he got Malik. He got Malik and he got they got a decent running back. I forgot his last name or forgot his name, but I like that running back. Um yeah, I'm gonna say the Giants take Cam. I feel like
Okay.
Shador was the obvious answer, but I just don't think they do it. I think they like Cam. I think everybody likes Cam Ward more than Shador. They don't want to say it out loud. I think they like Shador if you got a team like Cleveland with Shador would be perfect. That's my
Okay.
opinion because you got the personnel around him to where you got young guys that probably really do believe in his ability to lead the locker room, and they believe in his ability to lead them on the field. And I think Cleveland is a team where you cannot get mad at him for nothing. You can't get mad at a 4-win season, and you can't get mad at an 11-win season. It take the pressure off of Shador. You put Shador
Okay.
in New York, you just waiting for the medium, not the medium, my bad. You waiting for the media to rip him apart. I think that's what's gonna happen if he go to New York. So I think New York avoids that pitfall. Who's the pick after New York?
Patriots. So it's
Patriots
Tennessee,
trade
Cleveland.
down. They trade down.
Okay.
They got to trade down,
Gotcha.
right? Because if Travis is not there at 4, what you need to keep that pick for?
Yeah, they probably gonna because I wouldn't know what direction Vrabel would want to go in his first year. But the smart thing would for him to do is, I mean, you went 4-13 last year.
Yeah, you ain't trying to
Best
prove
case is
nothing.
yeah, best case scenario, you probably at best you probably could turn that around and go 9-8.
Yep.
But even that still wouldn't get you
Yep.
nowhere. But so it's like you're not gonna overcome all this in just no 1 year.
Yeah,
So
it ain't no way.
best
Yeah.
case, you trade back, accumulate more picks for the future for sure. So that's basically what I wanted to get out of the way. So if we have all right, so Tennessee, Cleveland, and Giants, those 3 teams, we pretty much can agree that 2 out of those 3 teams are going to take a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So the only team that really, and then you got the Colts at number 14. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the quarterback they like. So Colts, Arizona,
Okay.
and that's it, man. That's it. Like going into
But
2026, those are the only teams I can really see looking for a quarterback.
let me ask you something. Every year we see a team trade up out of nowhere to draft a quarterback. Who's that team for you right now? That you could see going because my team is Vegas. That's what I'm thinking is going. If they make a move, it would be Vegas to trade up.
Let me see where they're sitting at. So Vegas right now is sitting at 6. So
Remember, Carolina. If you Carolina,
some
you're not committed to Bryce Young, but you're not going to draft right now.
right.
So you
So
that's a
Carolina,
free spot to move down. The Jets is at 7. You think the Jets move up?
I don't know, man.
Fields on a 2-year contract.
I think just because here's what I'll say. Because they just drafted so much high premium talent with all those draft picks under the solid era, I think they will let Aaron Glenn kind of filter out this season. At least because we don't even know if Aaron Glenn is a great head coach. So it's like you can't let this guy come in and just his first year trade Sauce Gardner for this and that shit. Go and get this receiver. Go and get that court. Like you don't really even know if this guy don't have no track record of being a respectable head coach. So you even not only do you want to see something out of your roster this year, you want to see what can he do as a coach? Because we've seen what he can do in terms of overseeing just the defensive side of the ball. Now you're in charge of overseeing the entire team. You are put in a situation in a franchise that's been ass for 30 years, hasn't shown any type of offensive creativity or production. So it's a question mark around Aaron Glenn. I think they're gonna give him. I think they're gonna do right by him, give him like a 3-4 years. Mainly because he is a Jet at heart. That's what he started his career at. So I kind of like. I think they're gonna play the same game that Vrabel gonna play with the Patriots, which is we bringing in a guy that's been here from the start. Only difference is that one has first round pick that was just drafted last year. Other one is signed Justin Fields to a 2-year deal. So if you want to ask me, I think the Patriots feel comfortable about their quarterback position than the Jets do. If that makes sense. So, but I think they both in that same boat. But Las Vegas, man, you won't even real. Don't put no stock in Las Vegas, bro. I'm just
you don't think
being
they
real.
trade up? Period.
Las Vegas is Las Vegas, bro. Las Vegas is here to make the NFL money.
Yeah, that's really what
That's it. Just imagine if Las Vegas Raiders won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what type of territory the NFL will be headed? Like, I can't imagine Las Vegas even winning.
But they gave him that team, though. They gave him that team. As obvious as it is, they gave him that team.
I don't see it, man. Especially with Brady as the owner. I don't see it, bro. I think Brady gonna get that Michael Jordan treatment, which is you gonna be known as the GOAT on the field.
Yeah.
But when it comes to management and it's over with.
Yeah.
It's over with.
He ended up selling his position probably in like 5-10 years.
Sure.
He'll definitely end up selling it.
For sure. Cause look at it, bro. This is your first big chance in your position, right?
Yep.
And this is why I was hammering the hammer on the nail, like thinking they was gonna move and get their quarterback of their choice. You didn't do that. You're taking your chances on Geno Smith, and you gave him a 3-year contract on top of that. They're like, no, man, I'm not on that at all.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna agree with you for sure.
Because think about it. We know the Chiefs, regardless of if they win Super Bowls, they're not just gonna lay down. So Chiefs are gonna be like a relevant 12-win roster.
Yep.
Kind of like what the Pats was in Brady 10-year drought, which he didn't win either.
Yep.
Okay. We know the NFL, they want to do something with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. We know that. And it's the Broncos. So that's kind of like one of those respectable programs. That's like a respectable franchise right there. So you know they want to keep the Broncos relevant. And then you got Jim Harbaugh and Herbert, who haven't even scratched the surface yet. That ain't leaving no damn room for no Las Vegas Raiders.
I don't think they had success. I think you're 100% right on that. And I'm gonna walk back my statement on them trading up because I do think this draft, nobody's saying it out loud, but I think this is a pretty deep quarterback draft. I think next year's draft is gonna be very thin. But I think there's like fringe guys like Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers.
I forgot about them.
They buffing up the guy from Louisville, Tyler Shaw. I think he's gonna be nothing, but they got him in the mix. So they throwing in the guys that they kind of putting in position. And I think those would be your day 2, day 3 picks, where you get Quinn Ewers. I think he might come off. He'd probably come off like 2nd, 3rd round. Jackson Dart, I think is gonna be a sleeper pick. I think he's gonna be a Trubisky of this draft, where somebody don't have him. Mel is not gonna have him high on that draft board, but he gonna come off first round. I think Jackson Dart comes off first round for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry Jones shut me up. I wouldn't be surprised if he drafted Jackson Dart, maybe second round or with his first round pick, just on some crazy shit. I would not be surprised because he got this new coach, which I think this coach damn near is supposed to just be a 1 year flush pick that Jerry put in because he couldn't get the guy he wanted this year. So I definitely think he get fired either midway through the season or he get fired at the end of the year. And then new coach, new quarterback next year. But if I'm Jerry, I probably want the control of that decision. If I bring in a coach, the coach might argue me down for my pick. So if I wanted to, I can make the pick for him this year, like how the Bears did with Nagy, and then give him and then have my new head coach be comfortable with my pick. Whoever like Jackson Dart would be my new head coach. I could see that potentially happening with Dallas. As I'm looking at the board, if Travis go 1, I think Vrabel takes a defensive pick at 4. I think 2 and 3 are quarterbacks. I think that's Shador and Cam. I think Jacksonville at 5. I mean, they don't even matter what they pick. I'm gonna say they pick an O lineman.
We can't forget Abdul Carter either.
I'm not trying to forget him. That it'll have to be Jets. Abdul's gonna come. In my opinion, I really think between 6 and 10. We will grab him. He will never make it past 10. I think he'll be gone by 10. But I think maybe somewhere between 5. So give Jacksonville. Damn, you right, bruh. So go 4. So Vrabel takes him at 4. Vrabel ain't gonna let him pass. Cause you definitely right. Vrabel's gonna pick defensively. I think that's my opinion. I don't think he's gonna go offense nowhere. I think he gonna bolster up that defense. I think if he had Gonzalez and Travis Hunter at DB, he would go that route. But I think Travis want to play wide out. I don't think Travis want to play corner in the league. I just don't think it's an attractive position for him. I think he would do better at corner, but I don't think he want to play corner in the NFL. But we'll see. So then at 4, he take Abdul. And then 5 is going to be an O-lineman for sure. Jacksonville going to bolster that O-line. 6 is going to be a ridiculous pick for Vegas. It's going to be something crazy. They probably trade down, to be real with you. And I think 7, go ahead.
Vegas may get a receiver or Vegas just may get a receiver. With the Bears, I mean, we already know who the Bears are getting.
Yeah.
If he's there.
Yeah.
But if Genty is there at 10, he's not going past 10.
Yeah.
That's
because if Abdul's there, which I know he not, then we could, I might see us going that way. But you're right.
So with the new era of Ben Johnson, you see. Who would you want to see? Would you want to see Ben Johnson getting the running back to run his system and having that Swift and Genty tandem how he had with Montgomery and Gibbs?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you want to see them go get Abdul Carter?
I need us to secure the trenches though.
Gotcha.
Abdul, if we can't get Abdul, I want the defensive tackle out of Michigan. I think his name is like Will Johnson. I take him. Those are my top 2 picks for us. Is Abdul and him. I think if you get Genty, it's a waste of a pick for Chicago because we haven't married a running back since Matt Forte. That was the last running back we married. Every running back past that point has never got a contract renewed by us. So if we drafted you, we'd never renewed that contract. So with that being said, I don't think Ben can argue running back is your most important need right now. I just don't see that being a thing. I don't think Swift was an eye-opening free agency addition this year. But I think Swift can work in whatever Ben Johnson got planned. So at least give him a season to try it again. But Genty, I think, would be like an aggressive pick for Ben. And I don't think Chicago front office is going to let him do it. Now tell me you don't see Genty in San Fran. Tell me Brock Purdy don't get Genty at 11. You know McCaffrey time is over with. Debo gone. They gotta go steal position.
It's not the wrong idea or it's not bad at all. Man, I would be very surprised if Genty went.
You'd be surprised though, bro. I feel like the whole thing with Purdy is surrounding him with talent.
No. I feel like I would be surprised if Genty made it to 11.
Oh, made it to 11. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Because I feel like the Saints are going to draft Jackson. Me knowing the Saints, man. If Cam Ward, Shador, all the board,
They take
they're
Jackson
done.
Dart. They might trade
They,
up for Jackson. And I think, bro, I'm telling you, I think Jackson might come off top 3.
so you got top 3. So the top 3 spots are Cleveland, Pats, Giants, and Tennessee.
But remember,
That's
remember though, you got to give way for a trade. They do this shit every
yeah.
season where they give us that 1-2 go ahead and then 3-4 is a trade. We
I,
traded
I,
for
I,
third with Trubisky.
okay. Yeah, I think the Saints get they do. I think the Saints get one of those 3 or 4 quarterbacks. If what the fuck? I'm seeing this shit right here.
What they saying?
This is just from USA Today. They got in this mock draft. They got Jalen Miro, number 6, going to
Oh,
Las
what the
Vegas.
fuck? Hey, you know what though? They saying Milro's a project. They saying if you got that Geno Smith on the 3 years, you might get Milro. They saying he's a project, but I don't know what the ceiling is. They're not doing the AR shit they did last year, but I mean 2 years ago. But they saying he's definitely a project with a high ceiling. I don't know how high the ceiling is, but I could see Vegas. Could I see them doing that? They got Geno for 3 years. You just said Geno probably crap out second year. So you need a plug and play quarterback. Yeah, I can see Milrow. I can see Milrow going there, or Justin Fields going there into this year.
Shit, Justin Fields should have went there this all season. Shit
You think?
before Geno signed up. Yeah, they should have Justin Fields should have went there,
Wait,
man.
who is the coach though? Who they coach right now? Who the Raiders coach?
Pete Carroll.
Oh yeah, Pete Carroll. He got hired. He
That's
wouldn't.
that's
He
the
wouldn't
only
took
reason.
Justin though.
You don't think he would have took because that's the thing. He has a history with those type of
With
quarterbacks,
the
which is
mobile quarterback type shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, Geno. I don't really see. I mean, as a downfield passer of the ball, I understand that we haven't really seen Justin. You know what I'm saying? Do that, at least Geno Smith, even though it
Mm-hmm.
was going to losing efforts, Geno
Mm-hmm.
was putting up 270, 280 passing yards a game. So,
I think he took that job because of Gino though. I mean, I think Gino and him was a deal. You don't think?
let me see. Because I think they signed Pete, and then Geno ended up coming there after Seattle made the move for Sam Darnold. I think that's how it went. Let me see. 'Cause let me see.
I could see Pete having a conversation with the ownership in Vegas and saying, I will take the job, but I got to pick my quarterback." I don't think he wanted a draft just because obviously he want Pete Carroll want proven talent, and he took that chance on Russell and that worked out for him. But I think Pete Carroll wants some proven talent at the quarterback position, and I think Justin Fields is way too big of a gamble. Justin Fields could sell that shit for Pete Carroll if he had to. Like, if it came down to it, a 6-win season back to back, yeah, Pete Carroll be pissed.
So yeah, Pete Carroll signed with he signed with the Raiders on January 24th.
Mm-hmm.
And Geno Smith signed on April the 7th. So that was like 2.5 months after
So they
Pete
let him
was
pick.
there.
They let him pick.
Yeah.
I feel bad, bro,
Oh,
cause I mean, even with what you just said with the Justin shit, I mean, I think Justin probably got like 2-3 years left in the league, and that's it.
you sure you don't see him kind of like as a backup
A
role at
career
least?
backup.
Because I can't see him say Tyler Huntley and all these dudes and what's the dude name? Tyrod Taylor and people like that keeping jobs
Because they
for
never
nine
got real
years.
chances though. Those quarterbacks, I feel like, never got seasons worth of film on them to dissect. I remember Tyrod was with the Bills for what? He started for the Bills for 2 seasons, maybe? Right? It wasn't that long. It was like 2-3 seasons before Josh Allen came.
Yes, something like that. Yeah. So what about James? What about him having a James Winston rule?
Oh fuck no, nah. You saw what Justin just said. Well, I don't know if you saw, but he had just said at some press conference, um, about if the Jets draft a quarterback, what's his feelings on it? He was like, I'm not here to answer rhetorical questions. I mean,
Seen the headline, but I
yeah,
didn't dive into it. But I
but
seen the
shit like that is
headline.
not that's not getting you James Winston territory. That's like he getting to that point where he kind of seeing the league for what it really is. I think that Tomlin situation rubbed him the wrong way because I think he definitely felt like Pittsburgh was gonna be more of a not a I don't know if he thought it was gonna be a permanent home, but that 1 year shit was kind of crazy. That's but again, I don't think Tomlin had no control over that. So, but I think it rubbed him the wrong way, and I think he's frustrated in New York, and I think he gonna get. I'm not wishing this on him, but I think he gonna have a rude awakening these 2 seasons. He gonna bow out. He probably fall out, go back to coaching or something. Yeah.
Because the thing is with Pittsburgh and Justin Fields, I mean, I know Tomlin and Russell Wilson, they both from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I kind of knew it was like some type of connection right there. Tomlin probably, because we could sit here and see that Tomlin he probably feels safe with his job, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the back of his head, Tomlin probably feel like his time is ticking.
Mm-hmm.
He probably feel like, man, I ain't got too much longer here.
Yeah.
I haven't won a damn playoff game since Obama administration, man. Like that's how long it's been.
And he picked
So,
21. That's his first pick. It's 21.
and then I have this dude at my job. He keep asking me, man, why the Steelers letting Aaron Rodgers tour with them like that? I'm like, bro, it's either that or you go into the season with Mason Rudolph as your quarterback. So
Insane, bro.
you let him do whatever he want to do right now, man. You gotta just swallow that pill and realize Aaron Rodgers, your only choice. You let two QBs walk out the door.
You think Mike Tomlin drafted Kenny Pickett? Because I'm starting to get the idea that if he responsible for that Kenny Pickett pick, Mike don't have he ain't a quarterback. Quarterback might be his weakest or his weakness as a coach, that position.
That that may be true, and like I said, for a lot of coaches, that quarterback development is not easy, man. That's the hardest part. Like just working with a quarterback is hard, especially when you a defensive coach. He's the only history he has is the defensive side of the ball, and he was a wide receiver coach.
Mm.
That's it. In terms of offensive line quarterbacks, that's been his biggest problem since Ben left. That's why Ben Body just broke down his last 2
Mm-hmm.
years in the league. They didn't do nothing to supplement that offensive line. Nothing.
That's
So
real.
uh we down to say the same thing about what's his name? Uh I mean we could pretty much say the same thing about Dan Quinn, man. Dan Quinn only had 2 opportunities as a head coach in Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
and in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But at least when he was in Atlanta, you had this man with Matt Ryan and Kyle Shanahan. Now in Washington, you got Jaden Daniels with Cliff Kingsbury. So at least you
Mm.
pairing a respectable coach with a respectable quarterback. We don't get the same vibe in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
You got Arthur Smith. Here's my thing. Arthur Smith never played. I don't believe he has like any type of real knowledge when it comes to football.
Mm.
And I'm not gonna be that type of player that says that a player who has never played football can't really inspire a team,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't have any type of NFL background. Arthur Smith, he doesn't. He doesn't have any type of
His dad
offensive
is the
background.
FedEx owner, right? He owned FedEx.
I believe so. I
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's who Mike Tomlin appointed to run his offense. Like you took a guy that has no type of success in terms of calling
After
plays.
Matt Canada and the shit that was happening then.
So it starts there. And now you talking about bringing Aaron Rodgers in the building to deal with this dude here? Come on, man. Aaron Rodgers couldn't even really last with Super Bowl winning coaches like McCarthy. What you think will happen if you pair this man with Arthur Smith? You got two hotheads that he throwing the ball to, George Pickens and Metcalf, with no run
Man,
game.
that locker room, bro. If Aaron Rodgers really stepped foot in that bitch, that locker room is done. It's over with. Unless they started off 6-0, that's the only way I can see this happening. Is if
That's the only
Pittsburgh
way.
came out the gate just on
That's
fire.
that's the only way. That's the only way. Same shit with Justin Fields. Like, think about it. Them even making a turn that they did. Justin started off 4-2.
Yeah.
or some shit like that.
Yep.
So, and the only way that we really didn't really make a big deal out of it because Russell Wilson, he came to start lineup and won like 4 straight games. So it kind of like suppressed kind of like the ramblings on why did they make the QB change.
Exactly.
Winning silence is everything, man. But the only thing they're gonna be able to kill that tension in that locker room in Pittsburgh is if Aaron Rodgers comes in and he puts some W's on the board, man.
Well,
But that coming
they first 7 or they first 4 is Baltimore, at Chicago. No, Baltimore, Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland. I don't know if it's gonna be the permanent order because I don't think they released the schedule yet. But on the site I'm looking at, it's Baltimore, Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland. So the divisions they play is us. They play the Jets division, and they play and the Chargers.
so they play the AFC East and they play the NFC North.
Yep.
And they just had that one matchup against the Chargers.
Against the Chargers.
So that's not an easy schedule. It's not an easy schedule.
No, it's
so
not.
They gotta put in some work, man.
I think Mike just gonna leave, bro. I think this shit over with. I think it's like we can't keep.
He gotta leave.
We can't keep talking about this shit, bro. It's 2025. I think for the NFL's like sake, Mike gotta go.
This is one thing that I realized when the time is coming to an end. And once I tell you this, you never gonna forget it. When it comes to coaches, teams, or players, the fall off, or when they're gonna decide to close the chapter on something, is when they get too celebratory about stats or keeping records going. So let me give you an example. An obvious one is with LeBron. I tell people this all the time. LeBron has been done with championships for a long time. His last championship he won was the 2019-2020 season.
COVID.
That was the COVID year when they won in the bubble and he faced against the Miami Heat. That's when he won his 4th ring. They closed the chapter on LeBron winning rings. It made perfect sense because he won his last ring with the Heat. When he broke through and finally won his first ring, who was it with? It was with the Miami Heat. So you started your run with them, and it ended your run with you beating them. That's how you close the chapter on LeBron championships. He's not getting 4. He's not getting more than 4. I promise you that. And they made sure the story came full circle to the point where it made sense. Same thing with Brady. They started the Patriots dynasty, beating the greatest show on turf, the Rams, in 2001. He won his last championship against who? The Rams in 2018. Started and ended the Patriots dynasty with the same matchup. I'm trying to tell you, it's so straightforward. But not to get off topic with that. But this is how I know. This is how I know LeBron is done with championships because over the last 3 or 4 years, they keep milking his stats. I've been watching LeBron all his entire career. I've never seen them glaze LeBron for stats the way they've been doing these last 4 years. Whenever they have no more plans, like I just tried to tell you, it's rings, MVPs, money, and stats. LeBron at the stage of his career, he's not winning no more MVPs. He's not winning the rings. They're not about to get this man no record-setting contract at age 40. So the only thing that's left to keep him fed is the stats. 3 years ago, he passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yep, the records.
For getting 30,000 points. He eclipsed him. All right, what's next? They made this fake-ass milestone to where now he's the first to get 40,000 points. Then the next milestone was, you know what we're going to do? We're going to add his regular season points and his playoff points and give him like a 50,000 milestone to get. And what did he do? He got it. They keep coming up with different milestones so LeBron has something to achieve throughout the season. It's not going to be anything that's tied to winning a championship. Promise you, bro.
You think that's why they letting the media get at him now too?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Same. So to tie this to Mike Tomlin is not winning no rings. Why you think we keep milking this? Oh man, let's clap out him. Mike Tomlin won 500 this year. You see what I'm saying? We over here praising this man for going 9-8, and you haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Why does it matter if you going to the playoffs if you haven't won shit in 9 years?
Shit. You know, he get the benefit of the doubt because the Steelers don't switch coaches. Everybody's assuming it's a career pick. But that's what I'm saying is it's time, bro. Other than Harbaugh, I'm trying to think of another coach that's been in that position as long as Mike has, and I can't think of.
It hasn't been any.
It hasn't been nobody, right? Just them two.
He is for sure the longest tenured coach in the same spot.
It's time.
And he been with them since. So yeah, he been with them since 07 for 18 years. He haven't won a Super Bowl in 17 years.
What if he went down to Tampa and what if the season go down? Because I'm trying to think where you could fit Mike Tomlin. Everybody would want him, but where would he fit? What if he went down to Baker and helped Baker get a ring? Or you think that's too far fetched for the NFL? I'm just going off of what we trying to tie everything back together, what we was talking about earlier.
To me, it has to make somewhat of sense. I feel like they're gonna send him somewhere, just like Aaron Rodgers, right? It's no coincidence that, and like I said, this may not mean anything to you, but like I said, mentally, I'm like this has to have some type of significance value. Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me Aaron Rodgers, the team that he won his one and only Super Bowl against, that's the team he's now joining? Like, just think about it. Mm. Like, so I kind of see Mike Tomlin going somewhere that he has historic significance too, if that kind of makes sense. Just think about it. Arizona? Just think about. So how does he have significance?
I'm just thinking about the Super Bowl victory. I'm just thinking about the Super Bowl victory over Arizona.
Okay.
And I'm thinking if he tie it back, I'm thinking about
because even Mike McCarthy. Look at Mike McCarthy, right? Look at all those years. He just, even if you want to say Aaron Rodgers was at least 90% of the credit, mm-hmm. right? Think about all those years that they beat the Cowboys, and think about Jerry Jones saying, "You know what? I want Mike McCarthy to run my team." He could have any coach he wanted to, but he picked one of the teams that gave him. He picked one of the coaches that gave him the biggest problem over the last 10 years, which was Mike McCarthy. I'm trying to tell you, these signings don't just be out of the blue. All these head coaches signing, at least the ones that are successful, they have some type of historic significance.
So why do you think Jerry let him go? Because Jerry kept Mike for a year, and then he fired him.
No, Mike McCarthy got there in 2021.
Oh, so he was there for 2-3 years.
4 years, because they went 12 and 5 on them 3 straight years.
And he just left. Mike just left last year.
Mm-hmm. He came there in 2021. I
don't remember him being there that long. That makes sense though.
Yeah, he was there. He was there because him and Dan Quinn was there the same amount of years for 3 years.
And he couldn't get over nothing because Dak got hurt. Dak got hurt either his last year, because I remember what's the redhead dude had to come in? Cooper Rush, I think it was, had to come in. Was that last year or the year before last?
So what Dallas is, Dallas, they last year. So this is Dallas of 4-year tenure with Mike McCarthy. They lost to San Fran twice. They lost to Jordan Love on a wild card. Mm-hmm. And then this past season, they didn't even make the playoffs, so it was bad. That's Mike McCarthy's 4 years summed up right there.
You're right, bro. You're right. I'm tripping because we just talked about them firing and hiring to nobody. You're right. That just happened. You're right. Damn. So at this point with Dallas,
and 12 and 5, 3 straight years went to nothing.
Where did Kellen Moore go?
He went to
Minnesota.
Nah, not Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, he was the Eagles OC this past season. Now he's with the Saints as the head coach. He went somewhere else too. Before the Eagles. I think it was the Chargers he went to. I think he was the OC.
Oh, he went to Detroit. Detroit.
Kellen Moore?
It say he went to Detroit. This is his football career. My bad. This is not his coach career. His football career.
He coached 1 year. He coached 1 year with the Chargers in 2023. The past 2024 season, he was the OC with the Eagles.
Yep.
Now in 2025, he hitting the Saints right now. So he's with Dallas from 2018 to 2022.
And who'd you say they would draft? You think they're gonna get Jackson Dart, right? The Saints.
Yeah.
This is adding up. They got to get a quarterback, obviously. Moore retired as the head coach. Okay, February 11th. Damn, that makes sense. They get a quarterback. If that's the case and they get a quarterback, they might go. Shit, they might go Shador, bro.
I was looking at that, but I was like, can he fall to number 9?
I think he can fall. I think Shador can fall, but the question is, would a team let him fall or would they trade up in a safe spot? Like if the Saints is what? Saints is 9. The Saints could trade with the Pats at 4, or they could trade with. You can't really trade with. You'd have to give up a lot actually to trade at 4. I take that back. You don't got to trade at 4 because they're not grabbing a quarterback. Jacksonville not grabbing a quarterback. You don't got to trade at 5. You got to trade by 6 though. 6 or 5. You got to trade if you want to get Shador.
Let me ask you this, and this right here kind of altered, but I just want to see. Do you think Kellen Moore would take a chance on him? Do you think he would even do you think he would even really give a realistic shot to Spencer Rattler?
Oh, fuck no. No. Spencer Rattler, nah. And you know, I like Spencer though. I like Spencer Rattler. I fuck with bro. I think I saw Spencer play, he played like 2 games this year, 3 games maybe. I saw him play 1 half.
He started 6 of them.
He started 6 of them, damn. How many he
won?
Like 2?
No, he was 0-6 as a starter.
Yeah, you don't even have an argument to even get a chance to. My first year as a head coach, would I take a 0-6 guy? No, I just can't. Especially because Kellen Moore is of the belief that he's the success for a lot of these teams, especially coming off a Super Bowl victory. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm getting my guy.
Okay, because I think Philly is gonna take a step back offensively.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. AJ Brown gonna leave too.
Yeah, eventually he gonna want to leave because what Hurts, they want Hurts they want Hurts to kind of be in that bracket of, they want him to be up there with Josh Allen, Burrow. They want his numbers to be there, but I don't think Hurts will ever be that type of quarterback that's consistently putting up 34 TDs, 4,800 passing yards. I don't see that from him, but I do see him as a quarterback. Hell, man, whatever he need, he can get 140 yards on the ground and have 120 passing yards. I really do feel like he could do whatever he need to do to pull out a win. But from a narrative perspective and how they want his legacy to be, I don't think Hurts could ever be a statistical quarterback.
Well, he was struggling. Remember, he was struggling before. Before last year, the question mark was like, is he even a starter type shit? Like on some. I think what they did with Jalen, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. Is they put him in that mode of like, you're gonna be a game clock manager, but I'm gonna need you to throw it downfield every once in a while. If you can find AJ and if you can find Devontae, that's cool. And even the way they was scheming Devontae, it was damn near like Travis Kelce, almost on some fine separation. If anything, take some targets away, or take some options away, so that your last option, which should be your first, AJ Brown, maybe he can get some separation on his side of the field. But it seemed like with Jalen is saying to all of us, I'm not what do you call that? What you call that when quarterbacks are Jalen Hurts is not an every down, like any down passer. He cannot pass on any down. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Schematically, you gotta work in I hate to sound like this about Jalen because I like Jalen as a player, but you got to have enough RPO and you got to have enough of a running game to where Jalen is almost like oh, damn, he passed. Oh, he did just throw it. You know what I'm saying? They are not putting that man in no position to have no type of opportunity to throw a pick. That's my best way of putting it.
So, yeah, you can't ever see him as in a Joe Burrow situation.
Oh, fuck no, bro. Joe Burrow situation? I think Jalen Hurts is living Justin Fields' dream. And because of that, and because I know that's the situation, that's why I think Fields would be out of the league. I don't think mobile quarterbacks of his stature, unless he can make some shit shake in New York, I just don't think the league keeps them around. I mean, he's a big quarterback, rely on his legs a lot. You don't know if he's a consistent passer. I think he's a consistent passer under the right circumstances, but I'm biased. You can't really take that because I don't have no evidence to back that up. Um, yeah, I don't think the league take a chance on that. And I think Jalen Hurts is the reason why, because he models his playing style damn near, in my opinion, off of somebody like Hurts.
Gotcha.
What you think about Love though, bro? I gotta know what's happening with Jay Love. I gotta know what you think long term. What's happening with him?
Honestly, bro, it's as crazy as it sounds. I haven't really even been following my team. I think this draft is going to show a lot. Starting with the GM, is really going to show a lot, man. Because I don't think they can pull. I'll be very surprised if they don't go out with a bang this year. And this isn't. I don't really have any proof to back this up. So everything about this topic is emotional based. But man, like with a big need at receiver, I would be hard pressed if they went into this and didn't. What with the draft being in Green Bay, if you don't break this 20-year curse of not drafting a receiver in the first round, like when the draft is there in your city, man, I don't know when would you really do it, man. I don't know. So
Who you think y'all gonna get wide receiver wise?
I promise you, man, because this receiving draft, I'm really not that sold on. This receiver class, I'm not gonna say I'm not sold on. I'm just unaware of them. I haven't done
I'm
my
not sold on him, and I know him.
I haven't done my homework on them. So, and we are picking like early 20s, so kind of like 22
or something.
Yeah, that spot right there. So I really want to see him. I really want to see. And this thing is with Jordan Love is I need to see the GM and the quarterback on the same page. That's what I need to see. Because at this point, I'm receiving a different set of information. 1 minute, my coach is telling me he's in win now mode. We got to get aggressive. But then you're not signing the free agents or you're not drafting the players that are ready to play right now. Every player they draft is a project.
Yeah.
Like how you in win now mode, but damn near every pass rusher you draft, we gotta wait to year 3 for them to really reach their full potential, or we gotta wait for year 3 for you to give him more than 80% of the snaps. So that's really what held Green Bay back so much because what they'll do is they'll draft a player, they'll sit the nigga to his first 2 years of his contract, and they'll bank on the last 2 years of the contract for him to pan out. By then, you already wasted the man contract. You already wasted his contract because you just banking on 2 years for him to be ready.
And now he won't.
That has plagued Green Bay for years, bro. That's the philosophy. Draft a player, get him when you don't even need him. Sit his ass on the bench the first 2 years, and the last 2 years of his contract, he should be ready. What if that player ain't ready because he ain't getting enough playing time? So now you have an unfinished product like Rashawn Gary that you giving $125 million to. Come on, man. So if I'm saying that about the players around him, I don't really know how to feel about because this is what I will say. I don't know if it's beef between LaFleur and Love, or I don't know if Love's injury plagued him this year. But if you have time, man, just go watch the 3-4 games Malik Willis played. Go watch the play calling when Malik was in the game. Then go watch Love. The difference is night and day. Just night and day.
You know what they were saying about Malik though? When he was in Tennessee, they were saying he got a cannon, but he ain't got the accuracy for it. Funny you mentioned that shit. This is the year that I became a Jordan Love fan, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I do like Love because I think I watched him play the Philly game. I watched him play obviously the Bears games, and then I watched him play I think 2 more. I like Love simply because, in my opinion, bro, I think he's a pure quarterback. I think Jordan Love is like a pure intangibles, tangibles quarterback. I don't like Matt LaFleur, and I've never liked Matt LaFleur. But I told you I didn't like Matt LaFleur because I felt like, I mean, this just from my outside, Bears fan perspective looking in, I feel like Matt LaFleur is a coach that in these situations, I think the Christian Watson thing was huge for me. When y'all went and, I don't know how the fuck y'all even got Christian. I don't know if y'all drafted him late or was he a draft pick? Y'all drafted Christian, right?
Yeah, he was in the second round. So the reason how we got him is because we had a slightly more ammunition because this was after the Devontae Adams trade.
Y'all had
So
some stock.
right, so the Raiders gave us an extra first and an extra second.
Mm.
So I remember in the first round we got Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt
Yeah.
from UGA. In the second round we got Watson and I think somebody else. We didn't get Romeo Dobbs to the fourth round, so I forgot who we had got in the second with Watson. But yeah, man,
That last offseason though, that last offseason with Aaron, last preseason with Aaron, when he was talking about how the the receivers kept dropping shit, and that was Christian Watson. That was his first season, right? That was that rookie year.
Yeah, and I remember week 1 we played against the Vikings. We got smoked that game.
Yeah.
The first play of the damn season. He threw a bomb to Watson.
And Watson dropped the shit. I remember that shit. Yeah, I remember that.
Man, it's a part of me.
Then, what was you about to say? Go ahead.
A part of me saying, man, if you'd have caught that ball, our season probably went a little different because going into that season, our number one receiver was Alan Lazard.
Yep.
Then we signed Sammy Watkins. It was so bad, we cut him like week 13.
That shit is crazy.
So I'm like, man, Watson would have caught that ball. Our season probably went a little different because me knowing Aaron Rodgers and what I was watching after that man dropped that ball,
it was over with. Yeah.
Rodgers and looked that man waited like week 8.
Yeah. And he was making comments. I could have swore, didn't he make a comment in the press? Or I could have swore the word around town was Rodgers was saying that his receivers were too young and what did he say? He said something. They don't know how to catch the fucking ball or something like that. It wasn't just Watson, bro. It was like y'all whole training camp or something like that. Everybody was dropping passes. That's what it was. And I kept thinking, I was like, what the fuck is LaFleur going to do to control Aaron Rodgers? I kept saying, this is your team. Like, I get what you're saying, A-Rod in that situation, but like, how are you going to win 17 weeks with these guys? And this is the shit you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Or this is the demeanor and the body language and the energy you giving out. But I feel like at that point, y'all was already, the marriage was already coming to an end. So, but I feel like when LaFleur didn't clean that up, I lost respect for him as a coach because I always think whenever something slipping in the media between your players, you either got to get them in the room to fix that shit or you got to make it public that shit is not a problem. And I feel like the whole year, Aaron was making his frustrations clear with y'all.
Yeah. Especially once and that year, man, I really couldn't defend Aaron Rodgers. And it had nothing to do with the win-loss record. It was more so from the perspective of Devontae left, but you took all the money.
Nah, for real, yeah.
Because we traded away Devontae. We couldn't keep both of y'all. So it had to be one or the other.
Yep.
Either like you signing this mega contract for 4 years, 150, but you gotta keep in mind you're gonna lose your star receiver, the one who you throwing at least 13 balls to every game. So I was like, man, you can't sit here and pout about your receivers. You know what you're signing up for. Like, so in that sense, man, I really couldn't
defend him on that, yeah.
Defend him on that, man.
Well, shit, man. To wrap this up, because we went way over time. So to wrap this up, I just wanted to get your take on this last thing, which is where did I have it saved at? Yeah, because we ain't gonna have time to get in nothing deep. I'm gonna go with this last topic. Your favorite / least favorite player prop category when it comes to the prize picks, underdog, whatever you're using right now. And can you do it by sport? So basketball, football, baseball.
I got you. So Prize Pick. I haven't been on Prize Pick since I had my hottest month Prize Pick like in October. I think that's my hottest month. So I haven't used Prize Pick in a minute.
Yeah.
Underdog. I was on Underdog for a good 4 months because I like the fact that you can alter the lines on Underdogs.
Mm-hmm.
So the app that I'm on right now is called Fliff. FLIFF. The reason why I like that one is because you don't have to pick 2 legs, 3 legs. You can actually pick singles.
Mm.
So imagine on football Sunday, right? And you only have to parlay. Let's say you out of 7 games, you know for sure who 4 the winners going to be. You could individually pick the winners for each one of those games without having to parlay it up. And what you can do you can flip your bankroll. Think about how many times mentally you'll have a lock play, right? But you'll be like, damn, I don't have a second play to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can just pick a single play and bet it all right then and there. So I be betting the money lines, the point spreads and shit like that. So that's why I've been on Fluff.
So how's it been? How's it been so far though?
It's man, I like it. Only thing is that's kind of I'm not gonna say it's a downfall because it happens app to app, but you can't take the odds for just what it is on the app. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I'll go on FanDuel, look up that same prop, and compare the odds because I know on FanDuel it'll be a more accurate representation of the prop because you might have a prop on Fliff that's uh negative 195, right? Yeah. On FanDuel, it might be at like 170. So that right there, because what I do is when I bet, the lines tell me a lot. I know how to read the lines and know what has a higher probability and percentage of winning. So you might be on Fliff, you might see some odds that see negative 500. You be like, oh yeah, that's a gimme. That's a lock right there. But then you on FanDuel, and the odds might be at like negative 290. So the whole time you might be picking a play that you think is a lock. And then you're going to end up losing your damn money because you didn't do the research. You just
so they want you to stay on the app. They want you to take the odds based on the app.
Right.
Yeah.
So, other than that, man, if you good at comparing odds app to app, you're gonna be good. But the fact that you can bet money lines, point spreads, and shit like that on there, I like it, man. Because sometimes I don't really want to get on and just bet player props all the time. Like for example, we at the end of the NBA season right now. Today is the last day of the season, so this whole week, I already knew majority of the teams in the league didn't have nothing to play for. So you could sit there and try to bet the over on Russell Westbrook or some shit. He probably not even have the need to go out there and give his normal production. He probably go out there and play 3 quarters and sit on the bench because it's the end of the season. But instead, what happens if you to pick the team instead? Because you know the team is handling his business.
Yep.
So that right there is why you get way more creative with it, man. This is why I wish Georgia actually had casinos like FanDuel, Bet, man. Because these daily fantasy apps, you can only do so much with the player props.
Say less. I got that. I'm about to download. Well, I have it downloaded. I ain't tapped into it because, this is like my off season, bro. Once football is over, I'll be like, damn, should I put money on this? Should I put money on that? I'll be too hesitant. But I definitely tried on the teams.
After football season, man, only thing you should really try to mess with and get into for real is baseball. That's probably the most consistent sport. Basketball, man, you seeing it every day. These players getting busted for fraud allegations and all type of shit for betting on their own games.
How is the pitching? How was the pitching when you betting on strikeouts, any of that? How was that shit go?
So strikeouts is easy. The thing is with strikeouts, I play them, but I only do it with elite pitchers because if you try to bet on an average pitcher, it's a toss up because
inconsistent.
Right, because what happens is they'll be on track to get their number and they'll just get pulled in the 7 innings and don't get put back in the game. So a safer bet is to go hit runs and RBIs. That's much safer because the player's going to stay in the game for the entirety of the game for that prop right there. For strikeouts, it's the easiest thing to bet on, but at the same time, it has a lot of risk because there's no tracking on this shit. These dudes get pulled whenever and never enter the game.
Okay. So hits
were it's only so many pitchers that really pitch like 90 plus pitches. There be some dudes that only get like 50 pitches in each of their pool.
Right.
So,
Damn,
but
okay.
the reason why I like baseball is because every single day there's a certain time that they have to put out the injury report. Thing is, with basketball, it's a threshold in which you have to meet to put out the injury report, but they have a loophole in there. It's called game time decisions. So it could be a player drop 40 points yesterday, right? Look perfectly fine. Let's say he got a back to back night. He got to play the day. 30 minutes before the game, they say he's a game time decision. So you would be in a mindset of you don't even know if this dude gonna play or not. And you putting him on your ticket. So that's why basketball is kind of like up in the air, man, because it be so many players that'll play next game they out, play next game they out. So it's hard to gain consistency with it.
You seen any weird stuff on that on the Flip app, like anything with last minute changes to certain lines that you got, or were they you getting too close to greening out the whole list, but then one of your lines would be like off by one in favor of the over or the under, whatever the case may be. How often is that happening to you?
That don't really happen to me, man.
Okay, bet.
My tickets is I either lose or I win, but they constantly are refreshing the odds. I'm not gonna lie. So
Yeah.
you'll be making you a ticket, and let's say that should take you 5 minutes to
It'll
put
be
together.
gone by then. They'll swap it out.
Yeah, so all you gotta do is you click on the prop, click back on and refresh it, and the odds will change as you go. But they'll alert you like before you even submit the ticket. They'll be like, "Do you accept the line changes or whatever?" So
yeah, I feel like it's gotten worse though. I feel like since I've been on any of these apps, it's always like the minute I add it, I swear, if I spend longer than maybe 45 seconds for my next pick, they done change the odds on this one.
For
Like
sure.
that shit happening in live motion, but
For sure.
well, shit, man, I appreciate it, bro. We got 4 hours in, but I'm gonna chop this bitch up into 2 episodes. To be real with you, I'm just gonna probably cut it in half. Like,
for sure, we gonna do a post draft one soon. So yeah, we got
yeah, gotta do a post draft one, and then let me know if you got any because the topics that I got, I'm keeping them towards NFL, but at the same time, I don't mind like broader sports discussions. I just can't get too in depth on my own with the sports that's on right now. So it's like I don't want to be talking too much about shit I don't know. But if you got topics, even like pop culture shit, like storyline topics or whatever, just let me know and I'll put it on the list. And then for the next episode, I'll keep a track.
For sure, and I'll try to like make you aware of it like early on in the week before we decide to lock in on it. That way we can at least plan and like homework it out and everything.
What's your best day, you think? Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday, I'm off Saturdays and Sundays. It's just Saturday. I had to help with this breakdown at my job.
Okay.
So I was literally busy. Then the previous weekend, I was out of town in New Orleans for my sister baby shower. So this weekend I finally had some availability. So.
Okay, because I'm trying to think of like if we get on a schedule, I don't know, like every other week, maybe like twice a month. But I'm trying to figure out if it'd be easier to lock in a Sunday, or if you want to do like some rotating shit. I don't know. But if we lock in a date, it'd be easier for us moving forward because then we just know, okay, I got that to film on that day. So
for sure. I feel like after like post draft episode, I think we'll have a better idea of the consistency we can build around.
Yeah.
Because it's only like our second go around, so as time go, we'll get more familiar with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Okay, bet, bro. I'm gonna hit you up with any updates I got, and then you just do the same, man. I appreciate you, bro.
For sure. Yeah, keep me locked in, man.
I got you, bro. Have a good one, man.
Shit, you too.